Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hello, everybody. Good evening. We have a special live stream tonight. It is Tuesday, March 5th. And we are live in Studio J, and we have Chase with us. Chase is an ex-friend of Stephan Sterns, the main suspect in the murder of Madeline Soto. So welcome, Chase.
What's going on?
What's happening? So we are live now. I just want to let everybody know at the end, we plan on taking some questions. So have your questions ready. Any super chats that come through the live, we will address those and answer all of your questions at the end. So thanks everybody for being here. Chase, say hello to everybody.
I was like, is my thing even muted? What's going on? How's it going? It's been a wild week.
It's been a wild week, right? You're making your way through the tubes this week.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a crazy week.
Yeah, I feel for you, man. I do.
Especially because so that first interview. So I got hit with this news by my mom right before I went to work. Because she had.
When did you find out? When did you find out that this happened?
It had to be I guess I don't think it was the same day. I think it was like the day after. I guess it had broke the news. Because she works graveyard shifts. So she had gotten off work and I think she was eating breakfast in the morning. She said she was eating pancakes in the morning, and she was just kind of scrolling through the news, and she's interested in that kind of stuff. So she always keeps up with like local news and all that. And she was reading through the article, and at the end of the article, his name was there with the age 37, and she was like, I know him. So she sent me a message with the article, and I read through it, and then I dug a little more, and I saw his picture, and I was like, no way. Like we were just absolutely mind blown. Like I'm still mind blown. I still don't even know how to think about it. I mean, it's like constantly on your head right now. That's like the crazy part. It's just constantly in your head where you're like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
like that's pretty insane.
You probably won't be able to shake it for a bit.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I'll be able to, my day-to-day life will be fine. It'll just be like a little restless at night for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Especially when you don't have all the information yet. Like there's still things I'm interested in this because like I knew the kid so much. I'm just like even now I'm still like he just never seemed like that kind of guy.
Wow, that's wild. If you could ask him one thing, like right this moment, if I handed you the phone and I said, Chase, Stephan's on the line, what would you ask him? Like if you could ask him one thing, like
I wouldn't ask him anything. I would just
no.
It would be something. I would talk shit in some form of way for sure.
So
Like,
you have
I
no
can guarantee
desire
that.
to hear his.
I didn't have a desire beforehand. Like I just assume you're nuts. Like I've seen enough people in my life that were kind of like just out there, and at this point, you're just kind of like, yeah. I mean, the fact that your mind can even go there kind of tells me that you just probably shouldn't be here.
Yeah, and it's a little terrifying to think that at one point, this was your friend, right? You considered this guy one of your best friends?
Yeah. I mean, he's eating dinner with my family. We've taken him out. He's been to birthday parties for years and years. He tried hitting on my sister. Like,
Wow.
Yeah. I said that was a big no. No friends
Yeah.
with my sister. That's a hard no.
I have a feeling just based on talking to you that your sister would have been like hell to the no anyway.
My sister probably would have killed him. My sister, so I don't know if his Facebook's still up. I don't know what happens when people unfriend each other, but my sister made a post on there before she unfriended him that had been like, "I fucking hope you rot in hell, you piece of shit." Something like
Oh,
that. She like
wow.
when she found out about it, and she doesn't even live in the state anymore. So it's like, the
Wow.
fact that she heard about it so fast was kind of crazy too.
Wow. That news spread fast, huh?
My sister's actually 7 years older than me, so she was probably like 30 something.
Wow. So he thought he was going to score with not only someone 7 years older, but your sister.
And my sister's like a badass, so it's not. It's my sister's not that kinda girl, like, she'll put you in your place. She's a legit strong girl, so
Well, it sounds like your mom, I mean, based on the story you told me before we came on, that your mom is pretty tough and on the ball too. So the apple probably didn't fall far from the tree.
No, no, my mom and dad are actually super, super, super smart, which is why they always got super frustrated with me growing up for how, like, wild and, like, just do whatever I want. So, as that they had a hard time with that. I was not exactly the greatest child, you know?
We've all been there, Chase.
Yeah, I was definitely a rebel for sure.
Well, it
Sneaking out at 1 in the morning, just running through the woods, be home at 5. Okay, come home at 9, you know?
right.
Don't
Yeah,
don't leave the
same.
six pack. No, I'm going to the neighborhood next door.
Guilty as charged. We've all
Yeah,
been, menacing teenagers. But this picture we have on the screen was actually taken at your house, right?
that was in my room.
That was in
Yeah,
your room?
yeah,
Ooh.
I'm trying to remember, like,
What were you
and
doing? What was going on?
he was
What's
fake reading that. I remember him fake reading that because that's why I took that. Because I took that picture.
when
And
would
I
that
just
have
remember
been?
laughing at him. I was like, "Why are you acting like you can read?" Because I remember saying to him, I was like, "Why are you acting like you can read?" I was just
Just
banter
being
back and forth.
goofy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, I don't know. It was weird because I did a lot. Like, this kid wasn't exactly the most intelligent kid in the world, I mean, to say the least. I don't know what kind of homeschooling he went through, but it was pretty bad because
Oh, I didn't realize
I'm
he was homeschooled.
I'm almost positive, like, this stuff happened so long ago that for me, I'm almost positive when I was living with them, they, like, shaved money off my rent or something, maybe gave me money. I don't even remember. I was at this point, I'm like 17, maybe 8, maybe 18. I don't know, something like that. And I I feel like I remember something involving me taking a section of his GED test. If it was done, I'm almost positive. Like, I'm almost positive.
Wow.
Like, I can't, like, I'm just not fully sure. To be honest with you, up until this happened, that part of my life was like a big section that I just don't like thinking about just because I was so rebellious, like,
Mhm.
just party, 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 drink, 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 party, 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 party. And I
Right.
was like going down that pathway, so I turned around.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, it's not really a part of like, that part of my life either is not really one that I reminisce on very often, so I
yeah,
get it. It's kind of
a
dredging up
bartender
a
who doesn't drink. You know?
go figure. But, I mean, it probably does dredge up feelings of, memories back then that you did put, in the past. And
Oh,
maybe you're having to, like, revisit, like, "God, I acted like a fool, sorry, mom." At least you have the opportunity to say, "Sorry, mom."
I know, she actually thanked me for saying that.
Us moms love when our kids get to that point in life
Yeah,
where
my
they can
mom.
say, "Sorry."
Yeah, 100%. And my mom's like, she's when you picture like that Southern lady who just smothers you with kindness, that's my mom's way of getting back at someone. Like, if say she's angry with someone, her idea is just smother them with kindness. Because if they don't like you, it'll make them hate you more. Whatever. She's like, you're still being nice.
Yeah, and they
So that
can't say
like
anything bad about you.
exactly. So
Mhm.
that's her idea of things.
I
So
like your
yeah.
mom already. I like your
Oh
mom
yeah,
already.
she's definitely the nicest lady in the world.
So take me back. Let's go back to the beginning. How did you meet Stefan? And did you call him Stefan?
Yeah, yeah, we called him Stefan. I mean, there was times where, as boys, we picked on each other, so we called him Stephanie a lot, and he'd get angry at that.
Stephanie.
Yeah, but
We might want to just call maybe his friends in prison will call him that. Stephanie.
oh man, I'm just. The way they do jail, I'm just sad.
It is.
I'm like solitary and stuff. Just
Oh yeah,
the way they
protect.
avoided calling out the charges. Like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of punishment that's we might have not predicted would happen through the process, but you should just allow to happen in certain cases. And like the other inmates hearing those things, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to bother passing a law here in Florida, because I'm here in Florida too, um, if they're going to bother passing a law making it a death sentence for children 12 and under, why let them hide from those charges?
Exactly.
Bring it all
That was
in.
kind of me. I was kind of like, that's weird. And I know a lot of people are kind of wondering why this is taking so long as well, like for the murder charges and stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's a because of that. I think it's that law, or yeah, I'm almost positive that's the law. They only have 180 days to get the entire case put together. So like
Mm.
they like yeah, so it has to be within 180 days. So they have to do all that, like
So they
get
got to
all
get
their
on the
ducks in a
ball now.
row when they
Mhm.
submit. So they'll probably just submit with everything under the sun. It'll just be like count, 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 you know?
Right, right. They're working hard. Plus,
Because
I
the
feel
charges
like
they have will keep them there. So
right. They know he's not going anywhere.
yeah.
And he's not talking anyway, so he's not helping them. And the longer they have him locked up, maybe he will, talk more, hopefully, which will make things a lot easier.
Awkwardly enough, I don't think he will.
You don't?
No.
You could see
Uh,
him just holding out.
yeah, I could definitely assume it. He was like, so the other guys have reached out to me, like other people who were close to him, like either before me or after me. And I don't think they were as close as I was, but they had a lot of interaction as well, just through what they did. And it is kind of I don't even know how to explain it. Like to be honest with you, he was a crazy, crazy dude.
We have a question already. Did
Yeah,
Stefan
yeah.
have an obsessive personality?
Um, obsessive like what? I mean, did he
Like, did
obsess
things
over
bother
anything?
him? Like, if things were out of sorts
Oh
or
yeah,
anything
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah. He was the kind that like I play video games and and I'm pretty good at them. So like when we would play games, he would try a game that I'm playing because we like to play games, and then if he wasn't good at it, he would just quit and move on. Because he'd get super angry and he'd like yell, scream, broke keyboards, broke mouse, did all that kind of stuff. Broke all of his stuff plenty of times. I think he broke a desk once too. Like so, yeah, he'd fly off the handle like little temper tantrums like that. Um, as far as I think some other kid had mentioned a porno collection, and he did still like even when I knew him, he still had those Playboys because he used to like
Oh, the ones
basically
he
like worship them.
mentioned?
He was like, "These are going to be worth so much money one day. These
The
old
ones he mentioned on
Playboys."
Reddit?
Yeah, and I'm just like, what in a box from moving around like 800 times that are like already opened and used and
And he's still
like
turned on
what?
by, like, that era? It's
Oh
weird,
yeah,
right? That's weird,
yeah,
right?
100%.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that, and as far as his porn, so being a gamer, so I'm super protective about my computer. Like I don't mind people jumping on. I let my girlfriend on my computer all the time. I don't care about that. But so I understand like being hesitant to allow someone to use your computer because people do stupid stuff.
Mm.
And he was more than most. I have another friend who lived with us, and he was telling me yesterday or the day before or something that and I think I lived there when this happened. I just ignored it because I was upstairs in my own room and I just didn't feel like listening to their just yelling at each other. But he, Stefan was a slob. Like he just trash would pile up to the point that you like walked through a path where he was. And he ate candy and like candy, chips, Tyson chicken tenders, that he would use in a microwave because it couldn't work anything else. Um, and
Candy?
and his mom would cook for him. His mom did everything for him. Like I
Did
taught him how
both
to
his
use a
parents
washer and
work?
dryer at like the age of like 18 or 19 or something
Did
like
both of
that.
his parents work, Chase?
No, his mom. So his mom didn't work, but she did like she raised poodles. So I mean,
Okay, that's what
I
I
don't
meant.
know, I don't really know how that works. I mean, she had
Mhm,
like a handler
mhm.
who like would walk them and stuff at the shows.
Yeah.
She has like a cane and she's heavy set and stuff like that. So it's like she,
I
you
saw
know,
that on
she
Facebook. I saw her handler with one of her poodles.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and her poodles, I mean, she definitely raises good dogs. I mean, I can't lie about that. Those poodles are smart as hell. I hated poodles before I met those poodles. Those poodles
Right,
were
because
awesome.
you lived there, right, with the
Yeah,
poodles?
and those poodles were
Okay,
like the
so
shit.
tell me back in the beginning, how did you meet this dude? School?
So I'm no, it wasn't through school because he was
No?
homeschooled. He lived like he they lived in a very rich neighborhood. Like so where I live, you have a few big neighborhoods. You have Isleworth, you have Keens Point, and those are the two big ones that are right here. Um and like between those two neighborhoods, you're talking like Tyra Banks, lead singers of bands. Shaq's house was there when he played for the Magic, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
I know what you're talking about.
they lived in that neighborhood. And
Windermere?
yeah, they lived in Kings Point.
Okay, yep. Tiger Woods
And
lived there.
he, he lived in Nilesworth right next door to it.
Okay,
Yeah, because he lived actually next to a friend that I had in high school. But
that's crazy.
yeah. Yeah. And
So he lived in there, and then you lived in there as well?
no, I lived in a neighborhood like down the street from that. But we met through I had friends who lived close by and somehow he knew them and just like I would go over to my and they had like a boat and a lake and all that stuff behind their house and it was literally like
Damn.
I would literally it was probably about a mile so I would run from my house to their house. I grew up in Japan so like travel distance like people here in the states the way I see it is totally different like I'm used to going 2.5 hours to get somewhere on a train, you know. I'm
Right.
willing to walk 10 miles a day around town. That's just kind of commonplace.
Mhm.
Um, so I would run over to my buddy's house all the time, and then we'd all go hang out on the dock and like go in the lake and stuff like that. And Stefan used to be there all the time. Well, like I said, I was a rebellious kid, like so dumb of a kid. And
We won't judge you, don't worry.
nah, you're fine. I judge myself enough.
Don't judge
Um,
yourself, don't do
no,
that.
I was like the epitome of that like high school douchebag, you know. And yeah, and so I'd be over there and everything like that. And so at some point, because of the parties and just getting in trouble, mom coming home and the house being trashed and just weed all over the place and just things like that, you know, just things like that, just constantly
Mhm.
happening. My parents working in like high end jobs where you know they can't be around those kind of drugs. And if I ever got in trouble in the house by proxy, them living in the house, they could lose their license. So you know, there's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then you know, so as a child, they're like, "Nah, you gotta go." So you know, my dad was like, "Nope, bye," kicked me out of the house. And Stefan's parents, for some reason, I mean, thinking back to it, I'm like, my parents never would have done this. This is crazy. But they took me in. They let me stay in there, like stay with them, like legit, like stay with them, cook me dinner and shit like that.
Did he have any other siblings?
He had a brother. I never once saw him.
Really?
I don't think he ever visited the whole time I was there.
Interesting.
Some other guy said he was Navy, which actually kind of surprises me because I'm surprised. Had I known he was Navy, because I for some reason I always thought he was like Army or Air Force, and had I known he
Mm.
was Navy, being a Navy brat myself, I would have pried more into his brother just out of curiosity. Like, why,
Yeah.
why have I known you so long? I've never seen your brother. I've never even heard you talk to your brother. Like, I don't see picture his brother. There was no pictures of his brother in the house.
Interesting.
I didn't know he had a brother for like 2 years.
Whoa. So
Yeah,
he
until he
never even
mentioned it. And by that point, I'd already heard stories from his past. Well, slight stories.
Okay. So you meet through mutual friends, start hanging out, you guys become better buddies, hanging out more and more. And what, a couple years go by, non-eventful, you guys are just partying and you're living
Yeah, it's
there.
literally we live together. We party, we chill, you know, grab jobs at places. I got him a job at a place. He can never hold a job though. I mean, you're talking like a month. I think he worked for like So I was at a firehouse, and I was the manager of a firehouse when I was like 17 or 18,
Mhm.
and I hired him because he needed a job. And but he, you know, his parents paid for everything, so it was just fun money. It wasn't like he didn't need anything. He was super mama's, super attached to his mom, like super. When I
Mm.
had to teach this kid how to use a washer, dryer, stove, like oven. I I'm almost positive I taught him how to use a microwave, and this is after like the age of 18. Like that's
Oh,
absolutely crazy to me. You know, like I never once
a
saw him do
microwave?
laundry. He grew up with maids. Like they just did everything.
Wow.
Yeah, like,
Wow.
absolutely
I would have never
everything.
guessed this. I would have never guessed that he came from a
Yeah,
family
he came
dynamic
from
like that.
money, like, they had money before, so I don't know what happened in California. Cause from they've all told me it like, they're from California,
Mhm.
and something happened, and they moved to Georgia, and then they moved down to Windermere, and each
They
time they moved, it seemed like they lost more and more money.
Oh my god. Okay,
Because,
so
like, from what I understand, they were
loaded.
banking on, like, real estate in California or something like that, and then something happened there, and I was told it was the stabbing. Now another guy says, you know, that didn't happen. I don't know. I don't know how old he was with that story, like, you know, that was just kinda one of those stories you
He told
hear.
you a story? I say I don't know this story, so tell me
So
what you were told.
so I've said his mom told me that story, and I'm pretty sure I wanna say she did, but, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know, I'm almost positive she was there when that story was told to me. So I think he was telling me that story in front of his mom, and I don't
Mhm.
think she said anything to disagree. Because I kinda remember the thought of just remembering, "Oh, it must be true." And I'm, like, thinking what would cause me to have that kind of thought, and that's kinda all I can come up with. Because I feel I just that you have no idea. This lady was a different beast. Like, she
His
was
mother?
just oh, yeah, she was just an animal. I've met a lot of shitty people in my life. I mean, I work behind a
You're
bar,
kidding me.
and she's just mean. She's just a
Mm.
mean lady. Like, I couldn't tell you if, like, she did anything to Stefan other than verbally abuse him. I don't know how you know, in today's world, I don't know how far that goes. My parents never said the shit that I heard, but I also never heard a kid say the stuff back to his parent like, I don't know. That never would have flew in my house.
So he was mouthy, he was dicky to his mom.
Oh, yeah, he was dicky to everyone if he didn't
What
get
would
his
his
way.
dad do if he was dicky to his mom?
His dad was, like, never around, and he was never, like his dad was just never around. I mean, I rarely saw Chris.
Really?
Like, I mean, I saw Chris plenty of times over the years collectively, but when I couldn't even tell you a conversation I ever had with Chris. And I mean, I ate dinner with these people. I sat at the table with them, and I can't outside of me working for him at one point in time doing BPOs.
Uh-huh.
And then Stefan getting really upset because I started getting his dad was giving me a whole bunch of BPOs that took me to places because I wasn't fucking up. And Stefan started losing money because of that because he wasn't getting some of the BPOs for real estate to go like do take pictures of these houses and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so they had me stop doing it because Stefan was getting so upset.
What a fucking baby.
Yeah. He was a super big baby. Like that was a big thing about him is he was such like he would put on this huge facade. That's like everyone's like these cracking the knuckles to release tension. Yeah, a little bit because he did it. He always did it in tense situations,
Mhm.
but it was more of like because like we'd get into a lot of fights in our high school days. We had like stupid crews where we lived and stuff, and these parties always ended up as a quite a stupid fight. And whenever it was involved me or friends, Stefan was always around, and he would always just sit there and just crack. It's not he always tried to be intimidating or like alpha, but he wasn't
Mhm.
that guy. He just wasn't that guy.
He
He like
wanted to be, but he
I
wasn't.
I mean that guy had to have been within 5 feet of one of his friends throwing blows 20 times. Never once helped a friend. Not once.
Mm. Says a lot. You were saying something about the story in front of his mom.
Oh
He was
yeah,
telling
yeah,
yeah, he was
yeah.
telling you a
I got told
story. No, yeah, and she was there.
Yeah, that's thinking about it now, that's probably maybe more how it happened. All this is so old
What
that it's
was
a
the
little
story?
foggy, but I was told they moved from California because he was young and had I assumed it was like 14, but after hearing from the Georgia kid, I had totally forgot that he lived in Georgia until that Georgia kid was talking. I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot he lived in Georgia. I
I
totally
haven't
forgot
heard the
about all that."
Georgia kid. Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I
Is that
guess they moved.
Ryan? Is Ryan the one from Georgia?
Yeah, Ryan's Georgia. Frank was down south somewhere, Northport
Okay.
or whatever.
Northport. Okay.
And anyway, so he was like, so I guess he must have been younger, or the story was a lie, one or the other. I can't remember. But he said he did tell his story multiple times. Though. I mean, I heard it from his own mouth for sure. At other times, I'm pretty sure he told other people that. I think he probably told ex girlfriends this too. I wouldn't be surprised. But he was a compulsive liar. But that I guess he had a girlfriend. They're walking
Mhm.
down the street. Like these are all the details I remember. And he was walking down the street, and some guy had catcalled at his girlfriend,
Mhm.
and he had just like not without even turning around to look at the guy, just put up his hand and flicked him off. And the guy was like a 40-year-old drunk dude. So he just ran across the street and just started beating the living tar out of him. And he just happened to be carrying a knife on him and stabbed him and like almost killed him, like missed his heart by like, ridiculous, super, super close to killing this guy.
Right. Okay.
But he had taken an absolute beating before he did it.
Hmm.
Like just got pummeled. And I heard that's like so like he didn't have friends for a while and he was kind of like a little weird because he had and like that's why he had to be homeschooled because he had like anxiety issues and stuff like that.
So he wasn't going to school in California as far as you knew either. He didn't attend school.
I don't know any school he ever went to, and that kid like thinking back about it, I think I made a comment saying he wasn't that dumb. So when it came to technology, the kid was smart. When it came to doing like being tedious or meticulous with like something he was interested in, he was smart. But as far as just, like, common sense smart, he was an idiot. Like, the
Mhm,
kid was
mhm.
just dumb, just
Like, he couldn't get on in life by
yeah,
himself.
but he had a thing with always trying to, like how that one person always has that, like oh, what do people call 'em? Like, one-uppers, that kinda thing?
Yes.
He was very much like that, where all of a sudden you'd start getting these just, like, retellings of stories and stuff like that, and you're just like, "Mm, no, I was there. That was definitely me."
Do you know what part of California they lived in by chance?
Mm.
No? Or Georgia?
I feel like it was a super nice part of California.
We can probably find out.
Georgia might have been maybe Savannah, maybe.
Nice area.
I think. Well, that's what I want to say, but I mean, all this, So like when I was young, I tuned people out so bad. Like I just, I had a very I don't care attitude. I just did
Well,
what I wanted.
yeah, I mean, those things aren't gonna be
Yeah,
something that you're gonna be paying attention to then, but it's
exactly.
interesting for everybody to know that, they moved around several states,
Oh
and
yeah.
they they planted in Orlando, and that's where you met him when they lived in Orlando, and somehow they got down to Northport. Did
So
you know
I
him
kn
then?
I know most of the moving, I think, was because of Chris, or at least from my knowledge, it's because of Chris. Because Chris did, like, every, like, 5 to it had to be, like well, I don't know, maybe, like, every 3 or 4 years, he always seemed to have a new job, and it was mostly real estate involved, at least when I knew him. I guess he was doing some kind of, like, high up sales up north or something for saws or something. Um, but at least here, and from what I understood in California, it was all real estate stuff. And apparently, he had done very well at it. And
Mhm.
like I said, the dad always seemed normal. The dad seemed like he hated the wife and kid, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if he did or didn't. I'm just saying that from personal speculation. That's what I had always thought. Like, there's always like I used to a lot of his friends we like who were close to him like have all said that we still all think that his dad used to just like he would
Stay away.
disappear. Yeah, like we used to have a running joke that he had a second family. You know.
Mm.
because it was just
Mhm.
like he was just man. Because even when he was home, he was distant, like super distant.
So he
Which is
didn't, like,
me.
do stuff with him or anything like that?
Nah, nah. Like,
Mm-mm.
maybe, like, birthdays, if they went out to dinner on occasion. Actually, I can't even tell you. I mean, the only time I ever saw him go out for anything was for Stephan, like, on his birthday, now that I think about it.
So you're living with them. Chris is pretty much non-existent, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
mom
he's always
and
off
mom is,
doing
like,
real estate.
took you in like a second son?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I mean, we lived in the same room for a long time. I just slept on the floor. Like, it's crazy, like, thinking back about it now.
Right, right. I'm sure you think back now and you see, God, what a dickhead this guy was. But in the moment, I mean, you're young and we've all had friends that we probably wouldn't choose if we knew what we know now, if we knew then, you know?
Oh,
So
100%. Like, I mean,
yeah.
me and him had so much stuff in common, which is crazy. Like I've said, I grew up in Japan, so I took I took Japanese. I took Aikido when I was there, and a few other styles of martial arts and stuff like that. Growing up when I lived in Japan, and he had taken Shotokan apparently and stuff. So like we had a lot of relations between just like that, and I'm a big like comic book nerd and stuff. My dad was, so I've kind of always loved comic books. Like I mean, behind me I have like Batman posters signed by Amanda Connor and things like that. So me and him, I collect, he collects. Like it was kind of like that. Except that
So
I just don't collect Tamagotchis. That's a little insane to
I
me.
was just gonna ask you that. So how old were you when you guys met?
I had to be probably 17 or 18 because I lived in Japan till then. Like I was almost 18 when I moved here, I think.
Okay. So you guys were just running amok, being idiots, basically.
Yeah, so my family wasn't rich like growing up. Like we were kind of like we weren't poor by any means, but my, we weren't rich.
Hmm.
It was a nice right there in the middle class zone. We definitely weren't poor. I mean, when I was raised right, I had cool stuff growing up. Always had birthday presents and Christmas presents. Uh, but then I lived in Japan overseas. We were on military bases. We had a little more disposable income because your family gets like a cola to pay rent and stuff like that if you live off base. So there's a little extra income coming in overseas. But my dad ended up doing combat tours for like 10 years. So we had a lot of disposable income, but we didn't really, it wasn't really spent on anything. We just lived in Japan. And then I moved here to the States and I moved to Windermere. And these kids are showing up to school in Porsches and Lamborghinis. So that's what we were surrounded by was all of that. And then his family was like, I don't know, man. To me, like thinking back about it, he was super, super like I still think it was like that's rich money. I've never had maids. So, like I'm pretty convinced my parents had me to do chores. Like I'm almost positive of that. Like I feel like that was the case because this kid did nothing.
So it sounds like Stefan was just straight up entitled, sense of
Oh yeah, he
entitlement.
was he was super arrogant too. Like he got upset if she called him out on anything because we used to call him out on a whole bunch of stuff. That's why it's always funny to me. Like not funny, but like when I'm hearing what happened, I'm just this might be jumping to stuff later, but
No,
it's a
go ahead.
speculation I personally have just from I I can't imagine him physically having done like any what and she passed away. Like
Hmm.
how of that happening. I just he wasn't that guy. He couldn't throw a punch at someone. Like this guy would cry if you hit him. Like he was
Well,
and I understand that. I know there's an understanding, but this is where I'm also going to say he also had an addiction to like sleep meds and like uppers, like a super big addiction to
mm,
uppers, but he always had prescriptions for like sleep meds and stuff like that. Like I can't even remember the names of them, but it's just something he always had medications for these things. And I'm
hmm.
wondering more at this point. I'm kind of wondering more or less if there was more of a dosage mishap going on here.
Right, right. I mean, that's
I mean, intentional or not, it's irrelevant. But
But you say
it's,
like, oh, he would never throw a punch, but that's with someone his own size, right? And I follow these cases a lot,
oh,
and
that's
what
the
I
other crazy
see
part is I watched him fight a dude who was like literally 4'11", and he got scared shitless.
see
Like so,
because it was a guy, right?
true,
So these
true, yeah.
cowards, they take advantage of the ones that are weak and can't fight back, you know? And
Oh
that's
no, he
why
someone in there. I think they misunderstood me. But yeah, not definitely not because he was on Adderall. That's definitely not what I'm saying. He's a sicko. I mean that's pretty much the answer to that.
right. Well, I think it's important to say he was on Adderall because there are photos of him where he looks pretty sickly. The picture, honestly, the picture in your room, he looks really pale
Oh,
there too.
he was always super skinny and super pale because he never left his room. Like,
Mhm.
another guy had talked about how, he was always shocked because Stefan would wake up at, like, 4 in the afternoon. He's not kidding. That kid would literally not wake up till, like, 5, 6, 7 in the afternoon, like, daily. Like, he
Mhm.
didn't sleep.
Did he have girlfriends?
Yeah, actually. Now, awkward I'm trying to alright, so there was a teacher at one point. Um, she was a little old. I think just slightly older, maybe our age, but slightly older, maybe like a year or two older, maybe. Um, there was the Asian girl one is tripping me up still thinking like ever since she messaged me earlier in the week or last week, uh, it's still been tripping me up. It's still like that one kind of just pisses me off because that like was literally me. Like I actually dealt with that situation, so that was kind of like frustrating to hear. 'Cause it just brings me back to, like, eating a lie straight to the face. Um, just kinda pisses you off.
Mhm.
But there was a girl that he wanted to bring to the parties, and, he was like, "Yeah, she's 17." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. No." Like, that's we so we never wanted to get in trouble, like, we had a very strict rule, 18 plus at the parties, that's it, because we're bringing in booze, we can't be having someone bring their little brother over, their little 15-year-old sister or something, she gets drunk on the alcohol and then wrecks, it's something stupid, we couldn't have that. Underage drinking's a hard no, and, so unless we were doing it, obviously, and then, we wouldn't let her come to the parties, but that's the girl who messaged me on Instagram last week, and, she had said that when they met, she was 14, and, like, so I don't know if she was 17 when I saw her and was like, "Nope," or if she was 14 when they met, like, and then, like, I met her when she was 17, like, I don't know if that went on for years like that, like, I don't
How did
know.
he meet her, do you know?
I to be honest with you, I thought it was through a dating app. Someone else asked me that same question, and then my first instinct was to say, like, some kinda dating app, because I don't think she
Mm.
lived around here. I feel like she lived kinda far, and I mean, he didn't go to school, so he didn't know anyone around here,
So he never went to high
except, like,
school
our small circle. No, no,
and took his
like
GED and you helped him.
yeah, and that was years later too. I mean, he might have been, like, 21 when I did that.
Okay, so you live with them for how long? How long did that go on for?
Years, I mean, like,
Years?
I lived with him at Kings Point. I lived with him at 2 different places in Summerport.
So you were working for
Oh, and
Chris?
I lived with him, and me and him had a place in Merrick Island toward at the end. So, yeah, that's, like, 4 different places I've lived with this guy.
Oh my god. Wow, okay.
Now mind you,
So
being a gamer, like, I put on my headset, I zone out on my game, that's pretty much
no, no,
the
no, and don't worry, but no one's thinking you're of the same cut from the same
uh,
cloth as this guy just because you hung out with him when you're in your 20s, okay? I just
why
wanna
did
say that. No way.
sometimes just reading the chat is so interesting. Why did I help him? What are you talking about helping?
Ignore those comments.
Like, what are you
Chase,
talking about?
ignore those comments because ignore those. Okay, so
No,
we're
no,
gonna
you're good. I'm a
we're
gamer,
gonna
like,
pin
nothing
some
they say is gonna be as
questions.
bad as what I've heard.
You know what? I'm just gonna say right here, just because you hung out with someone in your I hung out with people in my 20s one of my best friends that was a guy actually went to jail. So does that make me some kind of bad
Exa
person? No.
well, exactly, and I have, like, just coming I was a douche. Like, I was that, like so I
You
threw
grew up,
ma
dude. He didn't.
exactly, that's what I was gonna say. I threw massive parties, I was big at dabbling into drugs and parties and just, serial dating, that kinda
Yeah,
thing,
for sure.
and, I don't know, one day when I was around I say I was 24, I might have been 25 or 26, it's just kind of, a switch flipped in my brain. Where I cut everyone off and left. So I didn't talk to anyone for years and years and years. Moved back to Orlando, talked to my family, a few very specific friends I wanted to talk to who had changed their life around. And that's just kind of where I've been ever since. And ever since I dropped him out of my life, it's been smooth sailing, awkwardly enough. Like it's just been going up and up and up.
But were you living with him and then just suddenly moved out? Like, how did that whole thing end?
So we had a disagreement. And then, you know what? The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm wondering because I didn't. So we were renting a place through his dad.
Hmm.
And, and there was issues with the house. Like, we had a leak in the roof, the AC had stopped working, and the garage was broken. Like, and my Camaro was in the garage, and, like, we couldn't even manually lift the garage, so my car was pinned in the garage, and I was getting really pissed off. But he was like, "Oh, it's okay, you can use my car." So I used to drive his car to and from work. And then finally, like, 2 months into it, I was like, "I'm not paying rent." I'm like, "Dude, like, there's too many problems in here you gotta fix." I was like and then his dad started getting on his case about me paying the rent, and I was just kinda pretty stand firm on that, and then he started getting angry about it, and he threw a temper tantrum, and this was like I knew this guy for a long time, and I'd seen him scream and yell at his mom, like, them go back and forth with their just I mean, God, it's so crazy to hear someone scream like that, like, just thinking back to
Mm.
it, like, how loud and just the word choice they would
Toxic,
use
huh?
was just
What
so
would they say to each
mean.
other? Like,
It was just mean, like, it's hard to even repeat because I don't even remember exact word usage because I don't talk like that. It was just mean. It was like, "Fuck you,
cringy?
you piece of shit," "I fucking hate you. I hope you fucking die, you piece of shit," just
Yeah, just
like
awful.
yeah, it was just, like, crazy, and it was just unhinged.
Mhm.
Um, where were we? What was I?
I'm
I'm like,
sorry. You
"You're
were
good."
saying, that about the rent and the
Oh,
Chris
yeah,
and the
yeah.
ho rental.
So I didn't pay for so I wasn't paying the rent, and, And, we ended up getting into a huge argument one day over it.
Oh, his temper tantrum.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, when I say temper tantrum, I mean legit, like, laid on the ground, kicking and pounding his hands and
Stop
feet
it.
into the ground, and this is a grown ass man, like, that's kinda
Stop
crazy to
it.
me. Like, I don't know. I don't even see seven-year-olds do that, so that's pretty intense to me, to see, like, something I've seen on, cartoons. But so he did that,
And you were just like, "I'm out."
and I was just like I I think I laughed at him. To be honest with you, and I think that just increased the situation because I know thinking of the situation how I would react to someone doing that in front of me, and I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure I
it's
did that. I probably
ridiculous.
just kinda egged on the situation to fully be honest with you because I was just a dick, and, so one thing leads to another, he ends up running in his room and, because he had starting to threaten me at that point. He was like, "I wanna fuck you up." I'm like, "Dude, I'd love to see you try."
Oh my
And,
god.
he ran into his room and got his gun. He was like, "I'll fucking shoot you, blah, 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 blah,
Wow.
blah," and I was like that's when I ended up dipping. I called my dad. I was like, "I can't live here anymore." I was like, "This isn't gonna work out." I was like, "This is" at this point, my life is being threatened. My dad's like, "I'll pay to get you out of there." So he gave me all the
Our
money
poor
we had to
parents,
cut
right?
because we had to pay, like, another month, to cut, and so we did all that, and then, my got my own apartment right afterwards.
So were you working for Chris, though, throughout that whole time period when you went
No,
from
where was I?
Orlando and tell me
Oh, there
about
there
working
was
for
times where I
Chris.
I mean, honestly, like, I'd wake up in the morning, Chris would hand me, a Garmin GPS and, a MapQuest list printed
Mhm.
out
Mhm.
that would have a route, and I would just type in the addresses in the route order,
Mhm.
and then I would just go outside, hop in the car that they had, and, go take pictures of these houses for him, and then he would post, like, the BPOs on a site and stuff like that.
And he liked because you actually did it. So
Well,
Stefan probably
yeah, and I did it fast. So like, I'm not. I don't really. I'm not like, let me stop and eat here. Let me stop and eat here. I'm like, let me get this job in and done. So I took, I stopped. I took good pictures. I did the job,
did
and
y'all
then I
do it
left.
together or no? Did you ride together and do it
We rode together a couple times for sure.
and just went around and took the
But then there was
pictures?
times where we did. I mean, but then there was a period of time where we didn't.
So
So,
you had your own wheels when you lived with him?
oh no, not at that. Well, I did at one point.
Or
But I
did they
mean,
let you use their
fortunately,
car?
yeah, I drove their cars all the
They let you
time.
use their cars too?
Yeah, I drove their. They had a Denali.
Wow, what
Yeah,
the?
they had a big white Denali, a Volvo 240 SX,
Okay, so
a
yeah, they
yellow Lancer.
definitely took a slide downwards because I looked at
Yeah,
their house in Northport and it's nothing to write home about. It's just an
nah.
average
So like
house.
when they started here, they were in Keens Point, and by the time I had stopped knowing them, they were in like a townhouse. So I
Ah.
mean, they went from like a two-story, like 5,000 square foot house overlooking the lake to a townhouse.
Did you feel like were the parents fighting about that? Like, did you ever hear them arguing about money or
So I do remember them fighting. I don't remember anything that was ever said in those fights. I could just hear Deborah screaming, and she just the word choice is just so mean every time, no matter who she's talking to, Chris or
even
not,
her
didn't matter.
husband?
Oh yeah, it didn't matter who it was. She just talked so mean. It was just like, just thinking about it now, like I couldn't even repeat it just because it was like, how do you repeat something that's just so crazy? It's not that I don't want to say the words, it's that I just can't remember the order in which they came out.
So did Chris fire back at her or would he be
Nah,
more
that dude
standoffish?
was like the most chill dude. Like
Mm.
I was always shocked. I was like, I don't know how he deals with all this. I was
He
like,
just kept it all inside and just went on about his way.
yeah, because Stefan would talk shit and like, cause like, so when he was working for his dad, it was crazy. I don't know. My dad's super strict, so my dad was a very black and white military man. So there was no room for like error. It's either you did the job right or you did it wrong. There's no in between. Um, So Stefan just kind of like, when he was working for his dad would be like, "Hey, there's 13 houses you got to go take pictures of." We got paid like 40, $50 a house. Man, it was pretty
Mhm.
good. It
That's
was
good
pretty
money.
good money. It's not
Mhm.
bad money at all. And we'd be like, "All right, cool." And I'd go hit all my houses. I would be back before Stefan even woke up to go to his houses. And his dad would always be pissed because his dad would want to put them in that night. And he doesn't want to be up till midnight doing it. So,
Right.
like, but didn't give a fuck. So, like, they would get into fights here and there. But Stephens was just so much of an asshole. You could tell Chris had just given up with that. Like
He
that
just
ship
had
had
no
sailed a
control.
long time ago.
Yeah,
Like
so
it was
he had
either
no
that,
control.
like, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, thinking back, and I was like, he had like pretty much one option, and that was just to slap the living crap out of that kid, knock some sense into him. But I think like there just wasn't any to be had. And then the mom always stepped in and did her thing. So,
So would you say who wore the pants? His mom or
oh,
his
mom,
dad? Mom wore the pants?
mom definitely wore the pants, but I felt like dad distanced himself pretty well enough that anyone who knew them on a close level would probably question if they were actually still married or not.
Wow. Wow. So did he have anything to do with the poodles? The dad?
Nah,
That
nah,
was
I
all
never saw
mom?
him. Yeah, I don't even think I ever saw him feed the poodles. Like, I mean, he loved on the poodles.
Did
He
he? I was
loved.
gonna say, did he
Yeah,
pet them and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah, he pet him and stuff. Like, one of them really liked him. One of them really liked him. I think that might have been Linus. It was like a gray small standard. He was super cute.
Linus.
Yeah, what were their names? Linus, Gus, and Dee Dee. And Dee Dee was like the crazy
I'm taking
champion
you
black
back
show
now.
dog. Yeah. I
Was
mean,
how was
I love
Stefan?
animals, so like I'm actually like thinking back, I'm like those dogs were the shit though. I mean, those were some damn good dogs. It's kind of crazy. They made me like poodles, and I hated poodles beforehand.
So how many did they have?
So there was Linus, Gus, and Dee Dee when I was there, and then they had a litter towards the end of our friendship that had like five or six. I think she kept two or three. I think Stefan had one, and I think he had Madonna, and it was a white standard.
Madonna?
Yeah, I think it was Madonna.
So was he kind to the poodles?
He was super good with the dogs. I mean, now I will say, other people's dogs with him, not so much. Cause like, so I'm like a dog whisperer. Like, every time someone's like, "Oh, my dog bites," I have to put him away when you come over. I'm always like, "Don't even bother. If they bite me, it's cool. But I'm telling you, your dog's not gonna bite me. We're fine." And because he had a dog like that too. But Stefan, animals didn't like him much. We had a buddy Derek who had three like, they were, ex-police dogs, and they had, like, signals and stuff you could give them to do stuff, and, man, they hated Stefan. One almost took out
Really?
Stefan's throat. Derek caught him by the collar mid-jump.
Who's Derek? One of
He
your
was just
friends?
a yeah, he was a kid I grew up with. I'm pretty sure he passed away. He had a drug addiction.
Mm.
Like, we all did drugs back then, but he was one of the kids who never broke away, and he spiraled really, really bad, and he went into a
S-
coma and
Oh,
stuff.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that's rough. And this
It's
is
all
probably
good.
brings back a lot of bad memories, right? Of shit you wish
Oh,
never
yeah,
happened.
That
So,
t I will tell you from personal experience, the kids who did a lot of partying in that time are gonna have a lot of bad stories later in life because there's gonna be a good portion of their friends who just don't make it from stupid choices.
yeah. Well, I'm glad that went down a different path. But
Yeah,
when did
I was
that
lucky to
whole
have good
when did
parents.
absolutely, that's a huge part of it. And your mom and dad would love to hear you say that too, I'm sure. Um, but when did the drug use start, or was it ongoing? Like when you met him, was that kind of a mutual thing that you guys
He had already started, like, doing some hard drugs before I knew him. Like,
like meth?
he did do meth, I know that.
He did do
Um,
meth,
it wasn't a regular thing for him, but I
but
do
he
know
tried it.
there is times where he would just somehow have it. Like, I don't even know who you talk to. Like, and don't get
Well,
me wrong, back then, I knew where to get stuff, I just didn't know where to get something like that. Like,
get
that's
meth.
like some Kentucky stuff, you know? That's crazy to me.
It wasn't, yeah, it
It's
wasn't
not
as
exactly,
widespread like it
your
is now.
homeboy in class, in the other classroom, it's
Mhm.
not exactly like that, so
Well, when you have money, you know.
and then I know he always had a crazy prescription for Adderall. Like he would snort Adderalls. He
Mm,
would chew them raw. Like he would chew and like, oh, it was so
that's
crazy.
bad. That's bad. I mean, that's like heroin, right? I mean,
Well,
basically.
so I always had a big issue with uppers. I still have a big issue with uppers. I we always thought that I had pretty strong ADD, ADHD. But my dad had really, really, really pushed me hard into martial arts and sports and playing instruments and just super active to the point that I didn't really have too much of a childhood that wasn't involved inside of a dojo, on a field, or playing an instrument. Pretty much till I was like 16. And I went to just turned into an absolute rebel. um, st- Sorry, I'm just losing track. I'm
No,
having
you're
so many
okay.
thoughts flood my
No,
head
you're
right now while I'm
okay.
talking about all this.
No, just go ahead.
Oh, the Adderall stuff, but yeah, and so I had actually been prescribed Ritalin growing up, and then we maxed out my dosage on Ritalin, and they were like, um, "We'll bump him up to Adderall," because Adderall had just kinda came out. I think it was pretty brand new at that point in time. I
Mhm.
mean, it wasn't something and I mean, because I was young, so this was before
Yeah.
I knew him, well before.
They were just starting to prescribe it.
So this had to be, like, late '90s or mid-90s,
Early
somewhere around there, you
2000s?
know? Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere around there,
Mhm.
and,
What year were you born? 86?
yeah,
Yeah,
86, yeah.
86.
Think somewhere around the Batman movie.
Go ahead, go ahead. So
And,
you were on those as a kid
so yeah, I
and
was on
then
those, and
graduated to
when I got to high school, and they wanted to up my dosage to Adderall, my mom actually asked me, she was like, "Hey, look, this is a choice you can make." She's like, "Do you think you need to be on this?" And I was like, "No, I hate these." I was like, "I don't like them." It was always super embarrassing to go to the nurse, leave class 5 minutes early to go to the
Sure,
nurse's office to go take your pills kinda thing, so
sure.
So I hated them. So, but it always messed with my head. I didn't like those drugs because like if I was whatever I was doing when that stuff kicked in, that's what I was doing. Like there was no in between. Like schoolwork didn't matter. Like better hope I had already started my schoolwork when those kicked in. And so I've always kind of hated uppers like that, even though I had a small stint of time with, Christina and stuff like that, but it's just not my thing. Um And he, on the other hand, he always loved that stuff. Like that was his jam. I remember him cooking. I saw him cook cocaine with a spoon one time. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if that's the same as crack. I don't. I don't really know the details of how that works.
Wow. So you
But I
guys
do
were
remember
doing
seeing
lots of
that, and I'm like,
drugs.
that's crazy to me.
So God
It
knows
was it
what.
was mostly weed and liquor from our end, but the parties typically had 50 to like 200 people. So I mean, there was other things that came in and out of the circle at certain times. So, yeah, for sure.
Did you see him like get into harder drugs as your
I
friendship
I never saw
continued?
I never saw anything with needles or anything like that. We
No.
had like a small portion of our friends who had spiraled down to like heroin and stuff like that, but I'd
Hmm.
never seen him do any of that. So I don't think so. I don't think he got to anything like that. I think he just leaned heavy more on. I think as time progressed, it became more about just having prescriptions for things he liked, like Xanax, Adderall, things like that. And then sleeping meds because he liked to count. He loved Adderall so much, but he liked to counteract the Adderall with sleeping meds. So
Hmm. Well, when you take that much Adderall, you can't sleep. Um,
no, he never did heroin.
so would he take Adderall and like game all night
Oh,
and
oh
stuff?
yeah, oh yeah. So I know this all sounds horrible because I know this is a terrible situation, but there are things that just kind of make me laugh a little bit when I think back
And
to
that's
them,
okay.
and we're gamers. I mean we played a lot of games, and we're all still kind of shocked that all this happened. But he took a lot of Adderall, and he was always really terrible. Like, he was a frustrating person to play video games with, and that's kind of like most gamers would understand. Like, you might have that one friend who you're hesitant to invite to your group, but no one else is on. That's him. And he wasn't good at anything. Like, I mean, it's hard to be on Adderall and not be good at like
Yeah.
an MMORPG type of game. It's not exactly Counter Strike or something. It doesn't take a lot of reaction speed. He was just dumb. He made bad choices.
So he even sucked on Adderall. Like he couldn't focus even on Adderall. So it doesn't even sound like maybe he didn't need the Adderall, but he was such a problem. Mom probably took him to the doctor and said, he does this,
Yeah,
that, or the other.
he didn't have because I'm telling you, like, so my brain races. So I'm one of those people who sleeps 4 to 5 hours. That's my norm. Like, so that's how I function. More than that, I get tired. But my brain's constantly going. I don't really go to sleep. I pass out. I just, I put on a video. I watch the video, and all of a sudden I'm asleep. Um, he was a different breed. This kid just slept and slept and slept and slept and slept, would wake up, do a whole bunch of uppers, sleep, sleep, sleep. I mean, I guess there was a time where he drank a lot too, but I don't know if that was my fault. That was probably more my fault. So, I
You
mean,
were
I
more
can't.
of the drinker friend.
Yeah, I liked alcohol and weed. Those were like my favorites. I mean, I did other stuff at times when I was younger, but
That
oh, I
was
had,
your concoction.
yeah, yeah, I definitely liked the alcohol and
So
weed.
when you moved out of the rental, right? When you said, "All right, fuck this, I'm out of here," whatever. He's being a baby. You leave. Do you
He'd be
ever
more
talk
than a
to him
baby.
again?
Nah, nah. I didn't talk to him. Well, I don't know. I might have sent an Instagram message like years later
But
when
you
I
never
had
saw
when I
him
had found
again?
about when I found out about the land stuff because I did. I think I'm pretty sure I messaged his mom because I think she was still on my friends list at that point, and I messaged his mom just saying like
Is
I just
Lance your
went off.
friend? Who's
Uh,
Lance?
yeah, he was another guy. I name dropped him on accident in another video.
Oh,
He had found stuff that Stefan did later in life that was like, what the hell?
what did
And
he find?
he ended up telling me I couldn't even tell you like how long after the incident. Like when I throw out years at this point, they're pretty random years. It could be a span of 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
Um, but he had said when he was living with Stefan, he found a file on the network that had videos of his girlfriend getting in and out of the shower from a hidden camera in their bedroom because they were living in the same house at the time. And then this was after me and all that. And like that caused a big fight with them and all that kind of stuff. and that's why he ended up moving out. And I pried really hard to get that out of him. That wasn't something. This wasn't a conversation that my buddy was like, "Hey, he came over one
He
day and
didn't
was
want to
like, let me."
talk about it. Yeah.
No, he did not want to talk. Like, I'm sure because he's a tech guy. He's going to see all this at some point. He's going to get super pissed off at me at some point, but I think he'll understand because he's like a legit good guy. So I think he'll understand. I think he'll be a little annoyed that I may or may not have dragged him into something like this, but it is what it is. But people also misunderstand what I said because, like, I remember the conversation going along the lines of he found a folder that had a whole bunch of pictures of his girlfriend coming in and out of the bathroom and stuff like that, naked and stuff. And then there was also a folder that had that seemed to have young girl stuff in it. And
Mm,
I'm going to tell you from right now, if I had two folders in front of me at that point in time, and I had to open them, and I saw one that had my girlfriend, and then I glanced at the other one, because there's thumbnails in these folders when you have that many files in them, or at least there was when we were using them. Um, you, if I saw a whole bunch of porn in another file, it wouldn't cross my mind really what it was. My buddy said there was he said young girl stuff. I assumed that it was like college girls or something. I doubt my buddy super investigated that because he had just seen his girlfriend of like 5+ years
right.
in these videos, and I'm pretty sure that's like I doubt until now he even remembered the other stuff that he had mentioned to me at that point. But I doubt he had investigated in that. I highly doubt he had looked into that. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have like been a little crazier. Now, mind you, and people are like, "Oh, he got paid off for that." I think from what I know, the payout was actually for like not saying things about his girlfriend, like telling, because we had a big circle of friends. So so I think, and I don't even know if the payout happened or was a thing. Like, I don't know any of that. That was just
So what
like
did this guy do about the video? Did he?
he was so they were hurting at the time. I mean, he was like super broke. He was super happy to have found a place with a buddy that he had stayed with for a year, like I think it was like a year or something. And the rent was cheap there. We live in a really expensive town. So, things were, and he was trying to turn his life around. He had like been self teaching himself like everything about networking and coding and programming, and just like working his butt off like 40, 60 hours a week. Like, just one of those guys who put in the work to change his life. And he did. And and then all that came across his desk. But he at this point he hadn't finished school. He didn't have a job. He didn't have a career. There wasn't really a source of income outside of barely making it month to month. So, I just know when he moved out, he did get an apartment. Now his girlfriend did work, so she could have bought that apartment. I know I insinuated that maybe he took the payout. I just remember there being a conversation about a payout.
So did he
But
kicked him out then?
no, I just know he left.
Oh, I
He
see.
left. Yeah, he just left the whole house and got an apartment,
Wow.
like way away. And just as far as I know, never talked to him again. Like, was like, nope, nope, nope. We never even talked about the situation again. I see him. I mean, I probably see him like once every few years, to be honest with you. So I mean, this isn't like someone I see on a weekend,
So you
like
don't
every
think
week.
he ever had any more contact with Stefan after that?
I would be positive he didn't.
Yeah. God, how
I'll be honest
creepy.
with you. I'm surprised he didn't end up in jail when he saw that stuff.
Right.
So,
Right. God, how sick. We have a question from Scott H. He said, "Did he consider girlfriends, etc., as like a possession rather than a partner?"
um, someone had asked what I think maybe someone had asked me something about obsession at some
Mhm.
point in time,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
I would definitely say yeah, he was pretty yeah, yeah. I had never really thought about that before, but yeah, I would say a lot of times. But he was also very nice to a lot of his girlfriends. I can't lie. I mean, at least in my
Would he
presence,
be
he was,
jealous?
because
Like,
I'm really, I think women are pretty animals. You should be treated right. So I'm kind of like, he would never kind of like trash a woman in front of me, kind of thing. So.
but okay, so when he would bring a girl around to the parties or whatever, would he be like, "Hey, don't be looking at my chick," or would he get jealous if she
Oh
talked
yeah,
to
he
others?
definitely got. Yeah, there was definitely a sense of jealousy where if she had walked off and was like talking at a party or something like that, he would definitely like pop up, arm around her, pulling her in, that kind of thing,
Right, right.
inserting himself into the conversation, but
The
not knowing how
sad
to
thing
continue the
is, Chase,
conversation.
the sad thing is, Chase, I feel like I know people like him as well. Like you describe, and it's scary
Oh
because
yeah,
what he
100%.
did,
Because
it's
anyone who's had like a circle of friends who's like just a little more than like 2 or 3 people, then you would probably understand like that there's always that one person who's like they're in the circle, but that's because they're friends with someone else in the circle. Like no one other than that, there's no real interaction between that person and any of those other people outside of his one friend. And I'm not saying that makes, everyone like him, obviously. But I'm saying that that's who he was. He was that guy in the circle of friends. Like he was by proxy, he was popular because he was with me and my friends, and I knew all the popular kids. So I wasn't necessarily the popular kid, but I mean, I knew all of them. I was good with the ladies, like so, and he, he wasn't bad. I mean, he was all right. He wasn't a great wingman. I typically left him in the dust. He went his way. I went my way. But I mean, these like I said, these parties had like 50 to 200 people most of the time. So I mean, there was just I had so much other interaction during those parties that I rarely saw what he did. He puked a lot, but
do you know why he would have been a ward of the court at age 12 in Sarasota County?
where's Sarasota's Gulf
Mm,
side, right?
yeah, that's where
Like North
Northport is.
Golf? Oh,
Northport
South
is
Golf.
in Sarasota
Oh,
County.
so
Yeah,
that's where Northport is. I knew it was down south. I didn't know
it is.
Sarasota was. We
Yeah,
opened.
it's south of Sarasota. So in
Wow.
the Sarasota County court records, there's a juvenile record for him for age 12. And there's like Geico. It's like maybe a car accident
Oh,
happened.
he got ran over by a truck. Someone
He
else had said that.
did?
Someone else had said that, and that actually, that same guy had actually messaged me. So these, at least one of the other guys has messaged me on Facebook. We had a long, like hour-long conversation
Mm-hmm.
about Stefan, and he asked me if I remembered Stefan getting run over, and I was like, you know what, I didn't remember that, but the more I had listened to his story, the more he was talking about, the more it started jogging my memory. I didn't know all the details, but I didn't know he got hit by a car at one point in time, and
Hmm.
it messed up his back, or at least that's what they told me. I don't know how much all that's true because there was a lot of times he would bitch and complain and not come to work over his back and stuff. Because I ran a firehouse at one point in time, and I hired him, and I had to fire my own friend who I lived with, which was incredibly difficult for me.
I'm sorry. You've got my brain just as I'm listening to you. I've got so many questions. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good. I'm like, where was all that?
I know.
Oh,
I'm
Northport and all that. Yeah.
Northport. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the ward of the court thing. So maybe it
So
was a
I think
settlement
because
they
from what
got.
I oh no, you said that was in Sarasota though.
It was Sarasota County. So I don't know if the accident happened maybe in Sarasota County, and that's why.
No, it happened in Georgia for sure. Because the other guy tells the story about what happened.
Oh,
And
and this
Stefan
is
was
Ryan,
and he
right?
was, yeah, I think, and he was scared of, I think he said he was scared of, lifted trucks, which actually makes sense because there was a point in time where a buddy of mine was gonna go his dad had, like, oil fields up north, and,
Uh-huh.
he was gonna go help his dad on the oil field, so he let me borrow his truck for, like, 4 or 5 months, and it was a big old lifted like a huge Dodge. It was massive on like 28s or something. Like it's this crazy truck, just absolutely bonkers. LED TVs, all that kind of stuff. And Stefan refused to ever get near that truck, ride with me anywhere in that truck. He would take his own car, didn't give a nothing. Like he would
Mm.
not get, and it had never occurred to me until he was telling that story and how Stefan and them hated lifted trucks and stuff. I was like, that's why. That's crazy.
Gotcha,
Like,
gotcha. So that makes sense then because of the Geico thing and it was all financials.
but that wasn't the set. But I do, yeah. But I was gonna say, but yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, yeah,
Because I think it settled years later. I think
yeah.
the
That's what I'm
accident
thinking.
happened when he was like 7.
Because he got hit in a parking lot, I think.
Yeah, I think it said the incident happened when he was like 7, and then he didn't get the settlement until he was 12. So that money was put in like Fidelity Investments. There's all these papers, and I'm like, what the hell was this? But that must be what it was. So I wonder if that car accident gave him any kind of like if he had a concussion or anything, you know?
So all right, so with all this happening, that stabbing story, I'm wondering if I'm just forgetting certain pieces of connecting that to the car thing and being like maybe the stabbing was a fabricated story by him to
And
cover why his back was so jacked, like why he always had a stupid excuse for why like, I can't jump on the wakeboard or something like that, because he always did.
yeah,
He like I'm thinking about it and
embellished
like he
stories.
exactly, and he just kind of like he ran with that story, he told it to me, and then the story just got repeated, over and over to girlfriends and other people, and then after a while the story
Yeah.
becomes true. I'm starting to wonder if that's more the case now. I'm almost positive he said that story in front of his mom. I don't know why I want to say that, but it's like I'm pretty confident in that.
Crazy. So how
Oh,
did
he
you
definitely lied a
leave?
lot. He just normally didn't lie to me, or at least, I mean, not that
You
I
said you
knew of,
guys
at
would call him
least.
out on it though.
Yeah, yeah, we did call him out, but it wasn't, obviously not every time, but yeah, when it was just us around, like,
You'd mess with him, be like,
oh
yeah,
yeah, oh
okay.
yeah, we called him out on his shit all the time. He definitely wasn't the alpha of the group. Never was nowhere near the alpha of the group. That kid
Yeah,
was.
you really paint a really good picture of how he fit in with his peers, really. I mean, you really do a good
Well,
job of
well,
explaining it.
well. When we stopped being friends, like so it's kind of crazy to hear. I think that's it's Frank who was the more recent friend. Yeah. So the way he was talking about Stefan reminded me because he had been asked if Stefan had friends and stuff like that, and he was like, "No, Stefan, not really. I never saw him once talk or anything to anybody else other than the girl." And when I started thinking about that, I started thinking about all of us hanging out back then. I went to a public school, so I went to a public school close by that had a whole bunch of rich kids. So I knew all these people. And once he had connected with me, like he knew, how he had a lot of acquaintances, but not a lot of friends. Because when we stopped being friends, apparently nobody like there. That was it. No friends, like zero.
Mm,
Like 200 friends to zero instantaneously, and I literally just cut him out of my life. I didn't even want to tell people the situation, so I don't even think a lot of people knew why. Like, actually, one of my best friends that I've had for like 20 years, who's met Stefan and everything, he mentioned to me today that he had heard one of the podcasts, and he's like, I actually didn't know why you moved out. He's like, you never told me that story about him pulling a gun on you. And I was like, to be honest with you, I doubt I wanted to tell anyone. I was like, I don't think I told anybody other than my dad and mom.
wow. And
I
what'd
live
your
right
mom
behind Disney. I can
what
see
were
Disney
you
fireworks.
Oh, so you're still in Orlando then?
Oh yeah, I can see fireworks from my window when they go off here in like I think there's
So
an 8 o'clock show.
how did it end with Stefan's mom? Did you ever see her again after you moved out of the rental? Did you have shit there or anything that you had to get? Did you ever have to see his mom again?
No, my dad brought the truck over and we moved everything like boom, 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 done. Filled up
Good
my
for
Camaro,
you.
filled up the truck, made a
You
couple
were
trips.
gone.
Yeah. And
I
and at the time I didn't. It's not like I had couches and stuff. I think I had a
mhm.
60-inch TV, my computer set up, a nice bed and frame, a mini fridge, and like maybe a shelf. Yeah, it wasn't that
Right, it
much.
wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got out of there. Did he always carry a gun?
So the gun thing actually happened. That kind of stuff was definitely later in the relationship. Um, he kn- he had shotguns as a kid because I grew up like once I hit a certain age. Me and my dad was military, so we went to the base shooting ranges and we shot on the bases.
Mhm.
It was cool. I got to shoot a whole bunch of stuff that you normally wouldn't shoot.
Right.
But he said he grew up shooting shotguns and stuff like that, shooting skeet in Georgia. But other than that, they didn't own any guns. There was no guns in the house. Like they didn't have any guns. And then his grandfather passed away. I don't remember exactly when during our friendship and all that. But when his grandfather passed away, he left him an inheritance. I want to say the inheritance was like, I don't know, like 80 to $100,000, somewhere between that.
Mm-hmm.
Left purely to him.
Damn.
And
So he got a little
so
kickstart
yeah,
in life.
so yeah, people, because I know a lot of people are wondering, because I heard a couple other dudes asking the same question, because apparently he still didn't really have a job. I mean, he dude couldn't keep down a job. His own friend had to fire him. You know how hard it is? You know how bad you have to be to get fired from a firehouse by your own friend who was like running the store? Like
That's
that
pretty
takes,
bad.
like, you have to
Yeah.
not show up for a month. That's basically what happened.
So he just didn't come in. He
Yeah,
didn't feel like he
so so as
had
much
any
as
accountability.
I know everyone wants to like bring Disney into all this, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, man. You guys really don't have any comprehension how big that place is. Like, while background checks could probably be better, even though it's pretty in depth, this wasn't a Disney thing. Like, there's nothing they could have done about this guy. No background. This guy's a chameleon. You have no idea how much he could hide this stuff. Like, he was a quirky dude. Like, that's about as far as you could get with being like, oh, this was so obvious.
Mm-hmm. Quirky.
Yeah, like he was like, so I grew up in Japan, so I'm big into anime. It's another thing that we had in common. Um,
Yeah.
I will say, while I did know about his porn addiction, because this is a dude who was just super
Lord have
heavy, like
mercy.
saving pictures kind of guy. He's not like, let me go to Pornhub and do something. No, he's like, I have files on my computer like stored. That's crazy to me. Like I don't know. In this day and age, that seems crazy to me. Like, why would you need to store porn? Like, I don't know. That's just weird. Um, like
I love
that,
your honesty. It's like, go watch it when you want to watch it. Why do you have to store it?
yeah, that's why
Well,
it's like, are you worried the power's going to go out and you can't live without it? Like, I'm so confused. Like, I
well,
don't know. Like, there's
it's really gross, Chase, but we follow a lot of these pedo cases and they have to exchange in order to be in their little groups. So that's why I think a lot of them save them so that they can join all the groups and they trade.
oh.
Like he did Yu-Gi-Oh! Now he yeah, that kind of shit.
Oh,
Mhm.
I never even thought about that. Yes, he knows Death Note. I actually showed him Death Note.
What's Death Note?
It's a really good anime. It's actually kind of crazy. It's about killing bad people.
Really?
It's a mystery. It's like a murder mystery. Just you write people's names in this book. This kid comes across a book. You write people's names in a time frame, and they die from however you specified them to die, as long as you know their full name and their face. And so this kid basically essentially starts trying to take over the world,
Ooh.
killing off all the prisoners in all the jails. All the people who commit things like this, those are the people he's killing.
Did you, not to change the subject, but did you see his post on Reddit where he said something about whoever's abusing you, or it was some post, somebody about being in prison, they're going to be
Oh
used like the
yeah,
pussy they are, and I thought, how ironic is that?
that's weird because I've been to jail a couple times for car issues like speed, reckless driving and stuff, and
Oh, Chase, you're
yeah,
such a
it was so stupid. Um, but he doesn't really understand how those. I don't know. He wasn't around some of the people that I was around growing up with. So like I had some pretty. I wasn't the hard kid, but some of the other kids were like these were dudes you didn't really mess with, and they were good friends of mine. And Stefan's not that guy. Like he doesn't understand how that. Like I'm actually kind of sad how the jail system works. The fact that he's going to be in solitary. He's not going to be thrown in general pop. This dude's going to be in a room by his own until the day it comes, and that's a shame.
mm-hmm,
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's enough, honestly. Like I don't know.
mm-hmm.
That might sound cruel to some people, but I don't know. I think the worst should be saved for the worst.
So I guess I saw several questions come across asking if you're shocked. I think it would be safe to say yes.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, most definitely shocked. A lot of people think I'm kind of like I don't have like I'm kind of careless about all this. It's like no, I've seen a lot of things in my life. My dad did 10 years of combat tours to the point the military had to tell him not to. He was in both battles of Fallujah. He's had rockets throw him 20 feet. Like my dad's been through some stuff. I've seen some stuff. I've had I've literally done CPR to people who died in my arms. So like I've seen some stuff before. So it's not, I have a pretty tough show. I was like, but yes, I'm very shocked, and it does kind of like keep me up a little later than I would expect.
and thank you for your service, by the way.
I
Um,
wasn't in. My dad was.
oh, your dad was. Well, thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah,
your
yeah,
dad. Well, you grew up, you were moved around because
yeah.
of your
I
dad's.
was a brat, and I worked for the military, but I didn't join the military.
Well, I mean, I think being a military family, you guys all kind of go through it. So, I mean, props to your mom as well. It's not easy, you know?
My mom's she's a whole. You have no idea how nice that lady is.
Aw, I
I'm
love
definitely
hearing you say
I'm
that. That's
definitely a
cute.
mama's boy. So.
Aw, but your mom actually, tell me the story you told me or before we came on about how your mom reacted. Because now we've got, you know, Madeline's mom telling conflicting stories in these interviews. And I want to get your opinion on it, but tell me that story about how your mom acted when she thought you were gone, missing.
Well, I bet when I bet she was kind of a little like perturbed at first. So my mom likes TikTok, and I keep telling her I'm like you should probably stay away from the TikTok. I'm like because TikTok like I don't know if you've ever read TikTok comment sections and the crap that people like to do in their little short 20-second things that they do. They talk a lot of shit. And, so she came across that's how she ended up seeing all this,
Oh,
at
your
least with
mom saw it on TikTok?
my part where people were just absolutely ripping into me from the very first,
Oh,
one I
no.
did. And while I have a tough show, um, my my mom, on the other hand, she'll be fine through all this because she knows me and I know me and my dad knows it, so we're not worried about any of this, you know? I have a whole bunch of
Aw,
the other
I don't
channels that
like
are like,
that.
lock down your stuff," do all this. I'm like, I'm more worried that, I don't know how my sister will handle, me talking about this stuff, if people harass her or anything like that. But there's,
Well, you're
my
not doing
mom
anything wrong, and I don't and back to what you said before, I don't think that you're callous about this at all. I mean, you're not what are you supposed to do, sit here and cry? I mean,
I don't
you're
cry,
not
and that's the thing is I don't the my tears are reserved for the passing of family members, the passing of friends, and my dogs.
right. I don't think anybody should judge you. I think you have made it clear and concise what your relationship was with Stefan and where you are now in your life, and fuck everything else. So go ahead with your mom. I don't like
Uh,
your mom reading comments. Tell her not to read those.
yeah, I did too. I was like, "Don't worry about the TikTok." I was like, if you look at the other places, there's a few people talking some smack." I was like, but other than that, I was like, "It's not gonna affect me." I grew up singing on stages and stuff, so I was that there's always someone out
Got
there.
thick skin.
Yeah, there's always someone out there.
I mean, I really appreciate you coming out with, your version of Stephan Sterns because he's quiet. No one knows anything. And you're putting some insight and you're shedding light on who this guy was as he was growing up as a
Well, it's
teenager into adulthood.
Well, yeah, it's like, I hate to mention my mom too much, but
Mhm.
my mom, she works in a hospital and she was really big into medical shows growing up, but she loves Stephen King novels, murder mysteries. She loves all that stuff. And th- so just through proxy, I ended up getting really big into criminal minds. There's a section of my life where I wanted to be a behavioral analyst and join the BAU and I wanted that. Like that was a goal at one point. My
Mhm.
life ended up going a different direction, but that was a goal. So I have a vested interest actually in just like when all this happened, my like just talking about it with my friends, I was like, how come you never get like actual conversations that are more than, oh, I never would have saw that coming.
Mhm.
There's just I'm like, how do you study and fix a problem
if you don't
everyone,
talk
if
about
you
it.
don't get all of the information from
Mhm.
all the angles, everyone who knew him, like how do you do that?
Dude,
Like I feel like it's just a
totally
problem that would
agree.
just keep getting worse and worse and worse.
Yep.
Because I mean, how do you catch something earlier if you don't study it enough? Like you just
Right.
don't. You don't.
We have to have these conversations. And, I mean, people are going to be idiots and they're going to say, things about you just because you're the one that's talking, right? I mean, there's always going to be people that have opinions and say shit,
Exactly. And
but this isn't about
I'm in it,
you.
and I'm
This
an
is
internet kid, so that's the don't. I'm just
right.
focus on the guy who did this crazy shit. Like let's
Exactly.
just
At the
do that.
end of the day, we have this guy that you haven't talked to in how many years?
Oh shit. I'm I'm 37, turning 38. So I mean,
So
this had
10,
it was
12,
over. It was 10 plus for sure.
mhm, a decade,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You
Because
haven't spoken to this douchebag in a decade.
I've lived in like 6 different places since then.
And I mean, let's face it, Chase, when you met him, you were already more cultured than he was because you'd been living in Japan, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's definitely something that has my mentality. Like this, this is crazy to me. I grew up in a place where 4-year-olds take the train to school 2.5 hours away by themselves at 5:30 in the morning. So
wow.
it's this kind of stuff's just like when people are wondering how I couldn't have seen something that after hearing stuff or something when I was younger. You just gotta understand. I grew up in a place where like crime wasn't a thing. Like,
Yeah.
that just it didn't exist where I grew up. I I lost a bicycle. Someone had taken my bicycle in Japan, um, and I reported it to the police station down the street, and it would knowing nothing would come of it. They found my bike a week later, like 4 cities away, and wheeled it to my house and gave it back to me.
Oh my God.
Like,
Wow.
the crime doesn't happen there. It's not a
Wow.
thing.
So you weren't subjected to all this bad shit
No, so it's just,
growing up.
my brain just doesn't think like that, where it's like,
That's
"Oh,
so
let me think the
wild.
worst of this person." So, like, even when I was told, when we were having the conversation about, finding the stuff on the computer and, his girlfriend and stuff, when I heard that, I knew his girlfriend personally for years, so I was like, "What the f" he did that
Yeah.
with Mel? I was like, "How does Mel feel?" I was like, "What is Mel okay?" I was like, "What's going on with all that?" Like, don't tell I was more concerned about Mel than anything. And until all this, I totally even forgot that conversation had happened outside of the Mel stuff. I just
Right.
remember that being said, and then after that, it was like, "Do we need to go rock this dude for what he did to Mel?" And then I found out, this was a while before he even told me. Like, so
Yeah. You found out way after the fact.
yeah, I couldn't even tell you how long after the fact because I don't know.
And I think that Hobby Homestead has a really good point. It was a different time 10 to 20 years ago. It was snitches get stitches, not see something, say something. It really was. And you weren't
It
on high
was.
alert, you weren't looking for anything. But I think your hindsight is very important. And that's why I'm enjoying like just picking your brain on this. I'm sorry it's gone longer than an hour like we talked about.
Oh no, you're good. It don't bother me none.
But
People have questions, and I mean, this is kind of the only way to figure it out.
I mean,
I
this
mean,
guy is a true monster, right? I mean, this guy is the literally the boogeyman. This is who we are all afraid of being around our young kids. And we have an opportunity to talk to people that knew him as he was growing up. I mean, that is so important in my eyes to maybe see some signs, see things that maybe weren't right that we didn't pick up on then. And it's okay if we didn't pick
oh,
up on them
oh,
then?
people are mentioning the accepting of money stuff. Just understand that conversation was a very long time ago. I don't even know if money was ever exchanged. Like, I have no idea.
For
Like,
what? What was that?
there was, I had heard from him at some point that they were trying to pay him to keep the stuff quiet, and because they like guys, she wanted nothing to do with this. I'll tell you, I talked to the girlfriend. She just wanted this to go away. She wanted no cops involved. She wanted nothing involved. She cried and just wanted it to go away. She didn't want all
And
of her.
that's not hard to
We had a very
believe.
big circle of friends, and she didn't want everyone to know.
Listen,
And
there's
that's
women,
what I understood from it.
and that
But
makes sense because there's women who get raped and keep it on the DL. They don't report it. So this is not It's embarrassing. Can you imagine
Yeah,
how that girl felt?
yeah, and I know he was hurting at the time. Now, I personally don't want to believe that he took the money, but I've clearly made other bad choices before.
I mean,
I
who
was like,
cares?
but at the end of the day, I know this kid is like he's a solid dude. So I mean, he might have made a bad choice in life. But I don't condemn anyone for like
We can't.
that
We
kind of
can't
thing.
condemn anybody
Like
but
I
Stephan.
exactly, I focus on people who actually commit these actions, and that's like I the Stefan. It's just still crazy, like because this kid was like a brother to me. Like I mean, I couldn't tell you how many meals we shared together, how many late night runs to talk about car crashes we got into. Like
I got a question. Do you think that you would ever write to him?
in jail.
Yeah, at some
No,
point in
the
time.
only the only thing that I've oddly thought in my head was it'd be funny to go to his trial and just start yelling some just obnoxious shit at him. But that
I,
wouldn't
I
do anyone any good. But
I think if you were sitting there, do you think that he would have a reaction if he
I'm a petty person with horrible people, so I don't know. I feel like whatever comes to him comes to him.
do you
And
plan
what?
on going to any of his hearings?
Um, no, probably not. I don't think I would. I mean, I've had my own run-ins with cops, and I know there was a situation with me that I ended up being let off on, and I was definitely probably should have went the other way. It was a car thing, and it probably should have went the other way. And it just makes me worried in cases like this. The one little thing in the back of my head sometimes is where I'm like, man, I really hope they get this. This is like one of those ones I don't want them to fuck up over something stupid, you know?
Yeah. So we never got to your mom's story about when she thought you were missing and freaked out, right? And I just want you to say kind of like her behavior. Like she was upset, she was crying, she had thrown up, all these things because she was worried about you, right? I think you're muted.
Sorry, hold on. No, my girlfriend had walked in and asked me a
Oh, that's
question.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah, you're good. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, I don't remember what I was saying.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I
That's what we
can't
have
rem
chat for. Come on, come on.
I know, they'll remind me, they have to do it all the time, they know.
This is this
They
is
know
your
how I
time to
am.
shine, boys.
They know they know how I am. I'm like, "What was I talking about?" Someone in the chat tell me. His mom? What about his mom? That didn't even trigger my memory. That's bad.
His mom was evil. Like that lady was just mean. She was just verbally like a man.
So we
The
have a
verbal abuse
guy.
that came from her was crazy.
So if we go back, I mean, this is just me and you just, speculating, talking. If we go back to him growing up with this mean lady who's not happy for whatever reason, the
Oh, hold on.
dad who just kind of
So
takes it.
sorry. Someone asked about my girlfriend. No, she's actually probably super annoyed that I've even done any of this. To be completely honest with you.
Oh, if you have to go, it's okay.
No, 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 no. I don't
She's
have
like, "Are
to.
you
Just
doing another live?"
probably. She, because she's on TikTok and stuff. So she's
So
a
we're
big,
so we're
big
looking at
into
this
that.
guy who had no nurturing. If his mom was like mean, was his mom affectionate with him? Did you ever see his mom hug
Yeah,
him?
yeah, it definitely went both ways. I mean, like they were like I'm a mama's boy. Like you can definitely tell, I talk about my mom like she's the shining star in the world and she is. I'm like there, but that's his was a lot closer than that. Like his was like super close. I don't think there's anything sexual going on involved in there. Maybe something as a child, who knows? That's not
But it
even
was weird. She was
but
mean,
the
but then there was like
yeah,
this
like
close bond.
their fights would be insane, but at the end of the day, it was like, "No, that's my baby boy," and did everything with his mom, like, everything, like, I'm pretty sure he was still living with his parents now, and he's, like, 37 years old, and it's
How
not and, I understand there's cultures out there where that's normal, I grew up around a whole bunch of Asian people and Filipinos, I'm like, but that's not normal in his, I'll tell you that.
how do you think his mother is handling this news, knowing how, this all went down. I mean, do you think that they're going to pony up a lawyer for him? I mean, just in your opinion, doesn't.
Man, I don't think the dad would. That's the crazy part. But
Mm,
but like, I'll be honest with you. I bet Chris was blindsided by all this because I bet anything that I said to his mom, I bet she never told Chris I said all that shit to her.
right,
'Cause
right.
I just sent her a message and deleted her one day, and it was just like 4 pages of me just going off, just saying like everything I could think of. Because that's like 10 years of pent up hating a racist. So
When you saw Stefan's interviews where he was using the tissue
oh,
and all of that,
that was
what did you
his
think?
that was the fa he had the same root. So it's weird because I, I, I'm laughing because of what I remember, and that's not even like he would do that when he was, like, lying to his parents about getting caught by like, if he got caught doing something and he needed to, like, lie out of it. That was the exact same way he would do it. Or, like, if he was calling in sick to work, that's
Mm,
exactly how he would talk, just super weathered, like, super and the like, the
so
exaggerated
disturbing.
sigh and all that. Like, that was spot on, like so I knew when I saw the interview that he was lying his ass off because not that I knew he was lying per se, but I knew
Mhm,
he was lying because of how I felt watching it. When he acted like that, it would literally it was, like nails on a chalkboard for me. So when I started watching that, it brought back all of that where I was just getting super like I was literally getting angry and annoyed while watching it, which is a weird thing to think when you're watching at the time what you think is a friend whose stepdaughter just went missing. Like all
mhm.
this other information had come out. So
That's what I was gonna ask
that's
you.
a very awkward feeling to be feeling when you're seeing that. Like, we might have had our differences because he drew a gun on me and stuff, but I never would have, even when this first popped up and all this happened, that wasn't a thought in my head that, oh, this guy did this to that girl. And then I saw the interview, and that's 100% flipped the other direction where I literally told my friends, oh, he did it. Like our circle of friends that all knew him. Like, so I was a gaming
Wow.
circle of friends, which has a mixture of people I knew in Japan, people I knew in Virginia, people I knew here in Florida
Mhm.
and military friends from all over. And a lot of them knew they didn't know him personally, but they knew him from all the games we've played over the years. So we have a big chat where we all talk every day because a lot of my Japanese friends are on there, and that's how we keep in contact. And that was some of the stuff we've been saying. Is all this.
So it took you back to that he still had the same demeanor as he did
The
as a
the
kid.
same shitty lies and the telling it in the exact same
Wow.
way with the exact same face. Can't look you in the eye for more than like 5, 6 seconds. I was like, and if he does look you in the eye, it's for like he's gonna look down before he hits with like whatever prophetic thing he wants to say because he's going to whip something out of like he's Shakespeare. He always has to, like, oh, some weird little line that makes him sound smarter than he is. Um,
Fake it till you make it.
yeah, pretty much. And he always did that. He would always it'd be a look down, couldn't look you in the face. It'd be a long sigh. Then he would look straight up and he would spit this nonsense to you, and it'd be like one or two sentences of just something that you're like, oh, that sounded like Shakespeare or something. You're like, "You're an idiot." And so when I saw that, that was literally the impression I was getting. I was like, "Oh, that piece of shit." I was like,
Mhm.
"No, no, no,
He's a
no, no, no."
moron.
And that's all I've thought this whole time. Because I mean, this we watched. I know this sounds crazy, but like we watched Dexter, we watched Criminal Minds, we watched all the CSI shows, and then to see how all this is going down and all the information coming out, I'm like, oh my god, like, did this kid have a brain? Like, what happened? Like, I mean, this is all insane to me. I like, is that just what happens when you like, you do something absolutely horrific, and you're just trying to clean up your mess, and your brain just goes off, like, you just do stuff? like I don't know, dumping backpacks and stuff in the neighborhood that you basically live in. Like all this seems so crazy to me. That picture right there is why we call him an elf. We used to call him an elf in our friend circle, and he
I
hated
said he
it.
looked like an alien.
Yeah, he hated it. He absolutely. Other people used to call him alien too. So yeah, that makes sense. He was.
That's how you
We called
remember
him
him
the
looking.
tall elf.
This is how you remember him looking?
I still game. Joyce. I actually still game. I mean, I played in like the North American finals a few years ago, so I actually play at a level where you get paid, so it's a little different.
How old are you now? 37?
Yeah, 37.
Okay, so my oldest son is 30. So I kind of get your like gaming generation. You guys were like the early gaming generation,
We
right?
were the very first. I mean, I played in there was something called the Cyber Athlete Amateur League back in the day, and then the Cyber Athlete Professional League. Those are what I played in when I was like 17, 18.
Yeah, I mean
And that
that
that was
shit
like the
was brand
first league
new.
you could play in. So
Yeah, it was brand new and it makes sense that you guys game into your adult lives because that was your hobby and it was brand new as kids. I get it. Maybe some people don't get it, but I do get that age still being into gaming.
yeah,
And
and
it
you know,
doesn't mean you sit
it's
around and
also
piss. It doesn't mean you sit around and piss in bottles and have,
oh no,
empty chip bags next to you, you know?
I work 40 plus hours a week, so
Exactly. I'm saying, I
I'm a very
understand
good
that.
bartender if anybody ever wants a drink.
You're a bartender. Do you work for Disney?
No, no, I've worked around Disney before. I worked for Nikki Bryan Health Spas at one point in time. My friend's mom owned the spas, so I was super young. I don't even know. I doubt I even knew Stephen at that point. To be honest with you, that was like when I first moved here.
Michael Slater says he's 60 and he still games. Go on with
Oh
your
yeah,
bad self, Michael Slater.
100%. I've seen there's like an 80-year-old grandpa. It's like one of the most popular dudes on the streaming. This is amazing.
So, another question. The other interview where he was in the background.
Oh yeah, the knuckle cracking
Yeah,
one.
just the
Yeah,
whole interview. What are your thoughts on that whole dynamic? Like the girl, the
both
mom.
sides of it.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the mom sitting there, him back there. What are your
yeah.
thoughts on that whole did you feel it was tense? Like
It
what
was
do you think was
no,
coming from him?
I didn't. So I mean, so much of me doesn't want to believe the mom was involved. Like so much of me, but especially with what you told me earlier,
Yeah.
and then just like remember seeing my mom and then seeing this interview so many times over and over and over again. And I mean, even the first time I watched it, I was like, man, that's a strong lady. I was like, that's a strong lady. But the more I look at her eyes, I started being like, and I've said this to everyone, where I'm like, man, I feel like she's on the spectrum though. Like
Hmm.
she doesn't, so kind of she's got like a little cross-eyed look going on and stuff like that. She's seems a little disconnected. And then there's
Like
one
she's
point
not grasping what's really happening.
kind of, or at least not in the same way, a normal person would, maybe her brain's just wired a little differently.
Mm.
I know mine is. A lot of people wonder why I don't cry for anything, I've even through some of the crazy stuff I've been through, and I'm like, that's just not a gene I have in me. I cry over family deaths and my animals. That's basically it. And in movies, for some reason, I don't know why, but I'm a baby when it comes to like sad moments in movies. Like Iron Man, done.
It's a tearjerker every time.
I still watch it on YouTube, and I still cry every time I see it.
Oh my
So,
god.
but man, yeah, his eyes. It's actually that's awkwardly that you put that up there because that was a rare case of where his eyes didn't look like straight black. His eyes were always super dark.
Mm, he's
Like that
just
picture alone makes me question if he had hazel eyes because I'm like I thought he had like really dark brown eyes.
let me ask you a question. So back to that interview with him in the background. I watched that like at first and I was like, oh my God, he's back there intimidating her. He's cracking his knuckles. And then I heard people say, oh, he's releasing tension, whatever. I picture him sitting back there wanting to know exactly what's going on.
Uh, I feel like that was probably the case. Like he definitely inserted himself into it to see how much was. I mean, come
I
on.
don't feel
There's
he
a
was
point.
intimidating her.
There's a point.
I don't. Go ahead. I'm sorry. There's a point. What?
there's a point where, like, this guy, he wasn't, like, an absolute moron. So, there is a point where in my I have to believe that he realized that he had done everything he had done to try and cover his little tracks being an idiot. I don't even know the correct term. I'm saying idiot. I know that's not a deep enough term for what he's
No,
done,
it's
but I just, my vocab's just not that strong for that. And it's just he. I think that was kind of probably where things started being put together, where he's like, "Shit, they might, they might find out. They might find out." So he kind of inserted him into that conversation because you actually don't see what happens, but I don't think you see it in the beginning of the conversation. Do you see him pull up the chair in the interview, or was that done off screen?
I didn't see him pull up the chair. I just seen him come back and forth and sit in it.
Because I don't know where, but I've heard what happened as he pulled up the chair. Where he pulls up the chair, he kind of plops it down pretty hard, and then like boom, boom, plops down. I'm like, yeah,
I'll have to watch it
that's kind
again
of
and
an
see.
aggressive stance. And then the whole like he's "Oh, how's she holding up? Oh, a lot better than me." I'm like, that seems so weird to me. I'm like, I don't know. My family, my dad's the rock, so I mean, my
Yeah,
mom's a
that
strong
was
woman, don't get me wrong, but my dad, he's the rock.
well, do you wanna know what I think about that? I think that how you described his mother babying him, coddling him, I think he found a woman that was willing to
Oh.
do that for him, and I think he
Oh,
manipulated the fucking hell out of her. I think that he manipulated the hell out of her into
I'm
thinking,
thinking about
"Poor
all
me."
his friends right now, and I'm thinking about how they would, like, make his bed and
See what I mean?
make
He finds
sandwiches
people to
and
take
stuff
care of
like
him.
that. I didn't even think about that until you said that, to be honest with
Well,
you.
look at
Like,
this.
hold
I'm
on a
gonna show
second.
you this. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna show you
No,
guys
no,
this
just
movie.
my mind's being blown.
Okay, let me share this. Where she's coddling him. I got a clip of it finally. I never saw it until I finally caught this clip.
Yeah, yeah, this is I
Check
saw
this
this
out.
too, where she's, like, consoling him.
Check this out. Look at him rubbing her. Oh, oh, it makes me want to puke.
I
That's
mean,
all I got. But
it's so weird to me at this point in time because, I mean, like, I need to know how much that leaked information that Maddie had been telling her friends stuff, and that had got back to her mom, and she just didn't believe the kid. Like, like, that's crazy to me because 'cause I'm just like, I don't know. If someone had 8 years before all of this happened told my mom that someone had been diddling me, and then, like, 8 years later, that person was the last person seen with me, my mom just woulda instantly been like, "You did it, motherfucker." She probably woulda killed him before the police even showed up.
right, I
Like,
mean,
so I'm
it's
just like,
insane.
that's crazy to me that, like, I mean, are you really gonna be that loving to the last person that saw your kid who dropped him over half a mile away?
I'm
Like,
telling you. You know what he probably did? He
that part
probably
throws me off too. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I walked to school. I was a kid, I walked my way to the bus stop, waited for the bus in the morning, I did all that, but
I'm pretty sure he probably positioned himself because according to his Reddit, he bought Maddie a lot of gifts. If that's true, he bought her, these
I saw
toys and
those
shit.
Tamagotchis, which is weird because I grew up in Japan, and I find that awkward that he's buying those. I know some Japanese dudes who would be buying those, and I find them weird too.
Do you think that he was actually collecting them, or do you think he was faking it to like groom other
Both,
young people? Both.
both, yeah. I would put, I would definitely put money it was both. I believe he did have an interest in him as well. I don't think it was purely for the other aspect, but I do think it was a shared interest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel like he related with people that age. Like his mind isn't
He
that
did
of
because, like I
yeah.
said, he could never hold. I mean, he had a small circle of friends for a while, but they all like they just weren't. They didn't stick around. No one ever stuck around very long with him except for me. And it sounds like each time he'd find a buddy that he was willing to attach to, and like that was his friend for that decade. I mean, that seems like that was the case because each one of us has known him for multiple years.
I'm just shook by this video. you know?
Yeah, that video is creepy to me because I mean, even where you could just pause there right now, it looks like he's smiling. It's like a smile while
Uh,
you're looking down.
Almost, yeah, like he's duping her, you know?
Yeah, like it's one of those things that a lot of people don't realize. Like, I don't know, my uncle played a lot of poker, like a lot of high level poker, and for me, when I watch this, like, and I see that little like his just the way his mouth and crap moves, it just reminds me of like some of the stupid crap my uncle would say. Just like he'd be like, you know what, you can't stop. He's like, you can't stop what you're thinking in your head. He's like, so you need to learn how to just tune everything out, like just blank slate. He's like, and that's the only way you can make it all the way through poker. And he's like, otherwise, he's like, stuff like this happens where, at some point in time, you're thinking about something in the situation and your mouth instantly goes to a smile out of like, in a situation that why? Like, why? She's rubbing your back and you're just like, thank you, baby. This is a
Mm,
horrible, horrible situation. And I'm so sad, but thank you for that little loving pat on the back.
mhm.
Your dog didn't die, dude. This is a
He's
fucking
thinking
kid.
right there, I've got her right where I want her. As long as she's rubbing my back and she doesn't believe I did it.
Exactly. This is a very like this whole situation right here screams like confident and relief.
Yep.
Like that's just what I get from that. Like and then he does like you can see how the way he talks right there. Like I don't even need to hear it to hear
Uh-huh.
it.
Uh-huh.
Like
You can imagine the bullshit coming out of his mouth, right?
I know exactly how it is. I can hear the words
Because
like
I
in
think he
his
positioned
little
himself like he's Maddie's best friend.
I think he did too.
Yeah. And
And,
he's so sad because she's missing. So mom's got to console him because he's so upset. She's
well I
doing
can't
better than me.
sounds like the goofy hat. I'm like I can't even tell you. I can't really make fun of hats. Got a big old bald spot.
Do you know what nationality
So
they
I
are?
like Stefan,
Right.
they were they, so Sustanet is on their coat of arms. Their history goes back pretty far, or so he said.
What is that?
They came from overseas.
Is this how you remember Chris?
Yeah, actually, exactly like that.
Really?
That's most definitely Chris. Yeah,
All right.
he
So
looks
then
like he looks like an old
it looks like a
old
normal
real
dad. Oh,
estate white dude.
yeah, he doesn't look very happy. He looks like,
And there was flashes. Like that's why I say I think he hated the kids and stuff. Because like I said, when I was working for him, there was times where I felt like he was like, "I wish you were my kid." I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like there was just a couple of moments where he's like, "Damn, this kid actually went out and did the job, and I didn't have to tell him 500 times." He woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
right.
He went out and did it, and he's
My
back
son's
before
a
noon.
lazy ass.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, he's like, "Damn, it's been a while since I had something like that." Now, mind you, I was also a pain in his ass too. Don't get me wrong. I was another kid in the house for not even his kid, no less. So I mean, like I said, they always treated me right, but it didn't change the fact that I heard, like, not from him, but I heard his mom just the vile shit. Like she was so nice to me, it was weird. Took me
God,
in like
that is
another
weird.
son, but God, she was mean. And it's so weird coming
Yeah.
from my mom. My mom went out to eat with her like one time and called me afterwards. It was like, yeah, I'm never meeting that lady again.
Really?
Yeah, she was like, that was the most obnoxious brunch I've ever had in my life. She's
Oh
like,
my
I
God.
felt so embarrassed. She's like, I almost got up and left.
So his mom
She's
probably
like, but I
hung out with,
suffered through it.
was it rich ladies? Like,
No, it was just them 2, because they,
oh, it's
like,
just the two of them.
after, like, 8 years or some shit of knowing me and Stephen knowing each other, our parents had my mom and dad our parents had never met.
Wow. Kendi says, thank you, Chase. Thank you, Kendi. Yeah, Chase, thanks a lot for coming on. You really have,
No, no, you're good. Just
you've
don't bother me,
provided
though.
a lot of insight. You really have.
My son is in Okinawa, nice. He's down in Iwakuni or something. Nice. Iwakuni's a nice area.
Yeah, answer some of the chat if you want to.
Yeah, I saw something from Japan pop up, and I was like, "Oh, I love that, man. I've missed Japan so much."
I know we
Uh
would love your mom. You should bring your mom on one night.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, she probably would, but I don't know how
Tell her
much I'd ask
like
her to
this
do
is
it.
nothing like TikTok.
Because she'll tell stories about me, and I don't think I need that stuff. I was
Oh, yeah, we need Chase stories for sure.
no, mine are. I when I say I was a wild kid, I mean I was definitely a wild kid. I'll just give you a quick, not too detailed one. Street racing with a buddy of mine. He was apparently hopped up on drugs. Didn't know because I was coming home. He happened to pull up next to me and wanted to race. I'm like, all right, cool. In my mom's car at the time. Okay, very fast car.
Your poor mom.
Yeah. She also didn't know that I was in her car, but yeah. So yeah, I was a terrible kid, guys. Like absolutely terrible. I was that kid who steals the parents' cars and like that's a terrible kid. But anyway, so we're racing. He ends up hitting my car, and oh, I see a question on the screen. The do you think they're defending him? I definitely don't think that that is. Um, Definitely questionable if Deborah, his mom, is. She's just a horribly mean lady. I don't know if she's. I don't know how much knowledge she actually knows. I definitely do think she's privy to having heard some things over time. That's my belief. Couldn't tell you. That's
Mm-hmm.
just my belief. Because I feel like she's very, I'll protect my son from anything kind of thing. I'll lie to keep him out of prison. That kind of stuff. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
she's that kind of mom. My mom will let me rot if I do something like this, and she'll tell me so to my face.
Yep.
Like
She sounds like
like my mom
Roberta.
would my family would disown me. Like that'd be done. Boop, didn't know you.
Yeah, that's messed up. Well, I mean, your dad was like, get the heck out. If you're not going to live by my rules,
Yeah, it
your
was
dad
very
wasn't.
it's that yeah, exactly. And anyway, well that kid hit my car and all that. I ended up chasing him. We get into a high-speed chase hitting each other. Cops get involved, cops get hit. That's long story short, that's how I ended up in jail. So, yeah.
Well, you know what, Chase? You've
Super
learned from
stupid.
all your shit. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between you and people that don't have accountability for what they've done. So don't listen to the shit. Tell your mom
Oh,
not
no,
to
no,
read the
no,
TikTok
no.
comments because we love Chase and we love your mom.
Did he have any sexual abuse in his own life?
Yeah.
Not that I knew of. I mean, to be honest with you, he was a pretty happy kid when I knew him. I mean, the kid was entitled and got everything he wanted. Like, I mean, literally, if he wanted something, he got it. Like, his mom always got it. Like, it was never like I'll be honest, I don't remember seeing his dad ever get him anything. I couldn't even tell you a conversation his dad had with him that wasn't work related.
That is so nuts.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's plenty of times where his mom would just say something racist out of the blue. He dated a light skinned girl one time, and his mom used to make comments about her all the time, and I was just, and,
Mm.
I'm living with him, so I'm just holding it in, not saying anything, but I'm just like, what the hell?
Interesting. I wonder if they ever met Maddie or her mother.
I mean, I grew up in a foreign country. I was the minority there. Like, what the hell? Like that. I don't know. It's just so weird for people to talk like that. And it was like that blatant Southern racism. It was weird. And I love Southern people. Don't get me wrong, but there's that racist side of the Southern people, and it was just
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
because Japan's a very racist place. Don't get me wrong. I love the country, but I mean, when I sat down on a train, people would literally stand up and move away. But that was their form of racism. So I mean, I got 3 extra seats on the train while everyone was crammed in like sardines. So it wasn't that big of a deal. Whereas here, racism is a little different. It seems very aggressive and for no reason. Like hers was
Mhm.
just he was dating a chick with a different skin tone, and that was boom. I think that's actually why they broke up is because of how much that was becoming an issue over time.
Wow.
I'm almost
So when I
positive.
was looking at his court records, I was looking at his traffic tickets, and down at the very bottom, it tells you like who paid the bill.
Mhm.
So I was looking at who paid he got a bunch of speeding tickets. Like the guy never renewed his license or he got his license suspended because of speeding tickets, and then he didn't go to court. Like just no accountability. I mean,
Wh-
overall.
When
But
was that? 'Cause I think
gosh.
I know what one of the I know in the like 2006,
Yeah,
2007,
there's
somewhere
a
around
whole
there.
bunch around there. Mhm.
There's one that he got arrested with a kid so this was one of the kids that linked me and him because I ended up meeting some people who took me to this kid's house.
Mhm.
And a bu- I don't even think this kid's alive anymore. Awkwardly enough, I think he's one of the ones that passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's had a real bad drug addiction, and it just
Wow.
got worse and worse and worse. And we tried to help him. We got him in rehab a few times, and it just it was one of those ones that just never worked. Sad. He's a nice guy. Just had a really bad drug addiction. Um, but he knew him, and that's how we ended up linking together. And what? I'm sorry. So many things are flying through my head when I
No,
started
it's
thinking about
okay.
that kid. I was
It's
like,
okay.
I forgot about that kid my whole
So
life.
his dad paid one of his tickets. That was like
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
was
So they got
paid
pulled over
for
in the.
by him.
They got
Yeah.
pulled over for speeding through Windermere, and so guys understand. Back then, Windermere had a very corrupt police department. Very, very corrupt. Like they fired the whole police department. So like all the way up to the chief because it was so corrupt. Um, but at this
Oh.
point, they hadn't done that. Yeah, it was actually. I think. Oh shit! I think it was a pedophilia case. To be honest with you,
Oh,
I
damn.
think the chief of police was covering up for a friend of his, and
Oh,
other
damn.
officers also knew, and there was just a whole corruption thing going on there. They basically fired the. I think there was like I less than like 2 or 3 officers who didn't get fired, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, the ones that I saw were in Sarasota County, actually.
but driving through downtown Windermere is like 30 miles an hour. Like you do 30 back then. If you did 31, you got pulled over and they gave you a ticket. So he got pulled over, and I'm pretty sure they had weed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a weed charge. Like he had weed in the car, and they got him for that.
I haven't even looked up him in those counties. I looked him up in Sarasota because I thought he grew up in Northport when I first heard that he had ties there. So you know
I'm
what
pretty
else
sure he
is
actually grew up
crazy?
in California, and I want to say it was like Chula Vista or something. Like that's what I want to say, but I think I'm saying Chula Vista because I know someone who lives in Chula Vista.
Yeah.
But I also
'Cause
know people in San Diego and all over California.
you know what's nuts though, Chase, is in the very beginning, the Northport police said that they were assisting in the investigation. So why would
Uh,
that be?
okay. Oh, I'll tell you. That's why. So I forgot to mention this earlier. Someone had said something about confiscating his stuff or something like that, or do I
Yeah.
think the parents were involved? No, but he has a room at his parents' house where he's been
Oh.
staying at recently because him and Jin had broken up.
Oh,
I don't even
shit.
think they were truly together when this you see all this going on. I don't even think they were truly together at this point. I think this was more or less like they had broken up and they may or may not have been talking again more recently, like probably within the last 3 weeks of all this happening. Because from what I understand from
Mm.
another dude who was a friend with him, he was down south for like 3 months. Like I think basically so he has a post talking about stress at Disney or something. And
Yeah.
then he got his 1-year badge in September. So I think somewhere after September and, like, December, he was, "Oh, I can't work at Disney anymore. I walk too much. I took 8,000 steps today." You know?
Yeah.
Because he's one of those guys, so I think
A
that's what he.
whiner. A
Yeah.
whiner.
Always, just that's just ridiculous. I'm like, "I don't know,
I
dude."
wonder
I'm a
how he
bartender, so I have no sympathy for those things.
I'm wondering if he met her. Okay, so this is what I'm wondering. So what I want to find out is how they met because did he seek her out because of her daughter or did they meet at Disney because she's worked there since '04.
Man, she's worked here since I, like, moved here. That's
So
crazy.
they could have met at Disney actually if he actually
I
worked
I
there.
I I assumed they met at Disney while he was working there. I'd put
Mhm.
money on that because he definitely wouldn't click with a lot of people, and he had a habit of finding broken people. Like, a lot of
Mhm.
his girlfriends, while now a lot of them have very good lives, married with kids, all that kind of stuff, um, a lot of them were broken back when we were younger, like, on psych meds and stuff like that, like, they were crazy girls, like, I mean, that's how
Yeah.
I remember the vast
Yeah.
majority of them were, like, psychopaths.
Like
Like, at least to me,
come from
they were,
troubled
like,
homes and shit.
some of
Yeah.
the I would like, some of the fights I'd see him having, I'm like, "Y'all are fucking crazy," and then, like, they were just weird together, that very, like, PDA in your face, like,
Mhm.
sometimes you're questioned if they want you to watch kinda thing, like, so, I mean, that's kinda how it always was, and I was, not really my thing, so
Yes, I did see that Jen Soto lied to law enforcement. So that's gonna be a huge problem.
my yeah, you and my mom actually told me that, my mom I just saw.
Yes. Yes. So it's actually in the police report that she stated she
Yeah.
physically saw Maddie that morning at 8 AM. That's not good.
And, that's actually something I was saying to someone else. I was like, I understand the use of "we" when you've been with someone. I was like,
Hmm.
trust me, I get that. I kind of do that stuff all the time, like
Yeah,
I throw it out there, but I don't think I would do it in front of a news crew and police. So, like,
right.
that's at that point where you're like, I'm not even thinking about my words right now. I'm like, but I can guarantee you, I would definitely be thinking of them in a situation like that. Like, my word choice would be very specific. And it's just weird that she kept doing it and then slowly started to get away from it. And it was like, that's just weird. I don't know.
Hmm.
Like, she but at the same time, like I said, he liked broken girls. I don't know if she's on medication when all this is going on. I bet she does
Well,
have medication
I
too,
think
so
being a single moms can be very vulnerable
I
because
mean, I think the daughter was drugged, so
they want that family unit. You know what I'm saying? So these women that so desperately want, the husband, the dad, and if he positioned himself as being like a dad figure to her daughter, she's an idiot. I mean, she fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And this is why we have to talk about this shit because mom's got to stop doing this.
yeah, and a lot I also understand where a lot like, I've seen a lot of bad things happen to women, like, through the internet and movies and everything else under the sun. My sister had a couple bad situations throughout life, so, I mean, I definitely, you know, this is I mean, I tried to get out of a case one time in court. I got jury duty, and it happened to be a rape case, and I got excused from that because I was like, "Look, I'm not gonna be
You're
this
not going to
is
be able to be
not."
fair.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm not gonna be fair in this case." I was like, "I'll let you know that right now." So, I was like, "I have a little bias towards things like this, and I just shouldn't be on this panel. I just shouldn't be over here on this jury." Yeah, I do, Leo. That just when I was thinking about everything he would do and the things he had access to, I feel like I don't even know if it was intentional, but I bet you come to find out, I bet you some of that medication was involved.
Hmm.
Because while he loved guns and he was big with guns, he wasn't stupid enough to put a round through someone in a vehicle. I mean, there's no cleaning that. There's no that's done zero. What are you gonna do? Burn your car? Which he didn't. So I assume he's not like he just. 'Cause
That,
I assume everything he did was as far as he thought it would need to be, and he didn't have time to clean the car because from what I understand, he tried to go to his mom's house. I don't think this is even out, but I think he tried to go to his mom's house.
that's what I'm
The
saying.
day she went missing,
Mm-mm-mm.
and that's why I said they need to go to the parents' house
So that's why
and go to his
Northport was
room.
assisting.
Yep,
Mm.
and get because I bet he's a gamer, so I bet you there's a PC or a laptop there. I
Oh, I'm
guarantee it.
sure. I'm
And
sure. I'm sure
I
Mama
bet
had
you
them
that's
all hooked up.
also and I bet you that's where all his old, like, porno collections and any weird shit or
His
weird
shit in boxes.
pictures or,
Hmm.
any videos or stuff that he may or may not have of people that he shouldn't have. Bet you that's all at that house,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is, if his dad had nothing to do with it, which I believe, I feel so bad for his dad. I don't feel bad for his
Oh,
mom at all. She's a
to be a
bitch.
fly on the wall when his mom found out that her home was
Uh,
probably raided. Wow.
uh, oh, she was there. That lady can't walk anywhere. She was
So
there, 100% guarantee when
she
that police
was,
showed up, she was like took her an hour to
oh,
get to the door because there's 800 poodles between her and
fucking
the door, and
dogs
she can't walk.
barking. Oh my God. I hope we get to see the body cam of that someday.
Uh, yeah, Sonny, because I doubt he had the balls to do anything. Like, I know that sounds crazy, the balls. I'm not saying this is an act that's good or anything. I just don't think he had the stones to ever do something like that. This is a kid who literally could never throw a punch. Like, he always portrayed that he was one of the big, like, he would stand next to us when we were about to get into a fight, and this is the first kid that would run and hide and disappear until the fight was over. Every single time, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, we did a lot of stupid stuff as car kids, and most of us were pretty tough kids, and, we did some crazy stuff, and, we got into big fights, like 5, 10 people brawling, and this kid was always the first one to run away, and if you did punch him, he cried. So, I would assume it's definitely a much more, not so physical form that he would have done, which in reality, knowing everything that's happened now, I really do hope that for her because that would be a much kinder way of passing than anything else that I could think of that he could have done.
Yeah, instead of mothering Stephan, she should have been mothering Maddie. And that's where I have a problem with it. And if she lied for him, then she should be held accountable for that.
Oh, I agree. If she's lying for him, she can rot with him.
Our
And
job as moms is
like I
protect these
said,
kids.
don't even do the deep death penalty or anything. Like, you don't need that. Just throw him in general pop. Let's call it a day. Boom.
I
Problem
know
solved.
everybody keeps saying that inmates are going to have fun with him, but the problem is, no, they
He'll be in
won't.
No, he won't. He'll be in
They'll
solitary.
protect his ass.
He'll
Yep.
be protected all the way through the case, and this case is probably going to drag for a while, to be honest with you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not that it's going to drag for a while. I mean, he's in prison, but I mean, if you're thinking the DP is going to happen soon, the case will happen quick when it happens. I'll tell you that. I was like, this isn't going to be a case that once it hits court, it drags on for 4 months.
No, they're going to want to push this one through. And I think they're going to
No,
try to make an example of him too because of that
he,
new law.
he wasn't under his mom's control, but he was a little too close to his mom.
I think he could
I don't think it
manipulate
was
his
sexual,
mom.
but I do think it was weird. I think he definitely manipulated his mom. I think his mom wanted to love her son.
Mm-hmm.
She just happened to also be a very evil racist bitch. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't necessarily connect those two, but she was verbally abusive to him for sure.
I agree with Hatter. He acted like an 11-year-old child.
Oh yeah, he still acts like an 11-year-old child. He had a candy addiction. I wish they'd show pictures of his room, because I bet you there's like just nothing but Haribo gummy bears and Laffy Taffy. Oh my god, the Laffy Taffy! I just remembered.
Oh my God. He
He
would
had
live off candy.
like it was. Oh, he only ate like he ate Taco Bell, and it would be like a 3 taco combo, like the cheapest thing you could get. Dollar menu at McDonald's, which doesn't exist anymore, awkwardly enough. Um, hate the world. God damn it.
I know. I was just thinking about that today. I'm like, what happened to fast food? Because now it's $30 for 2 damn combo meals. It's like, what? What happened to
Tyson
our fast food?
Tyson chicken tenders
Ugh.
and like quick little like sandwiches with like the most like white bread thing you can think of.
So,
And
so
then
like
his mom would take a bag of like frozen broccoli. She would steam it in like a Ziploc in the microwave. Um, there would be a plain chicken breast, like the cliche of white people not using seasoning has no meaning here. This lady didn't know what salt was, like let alone anything else.
so she wasn't
So
exactly
no,
nurturing.
she was a terrible cook, and it would be like an Uncle Ben's rice bag put on the plate, and she did that like all the time. I mean, like I think on occasion she might cook like a flat steak or something. I don't know. Like I
Would she
barely
ever
remember
tell
it.
you guys to like go to bed, like be
Oh
quiet?
hell no! No one told me to go to bed. Oh yeah,
Sh-
she told me to shut up a lot. She would just
sh-
yell up the stairs because like sometimes I would be screaming in my games. So yeah, that made sense though.
and she'd
I
be
mean,
like, "Shut up!" like that.
yeah, like
Sh-
I don't even think she did
Would she?
that. I think you'd hear screaming and like she'd have like a broom or something downstairs that she would just bang on the ceiling.
What?
Yeah,
No.
I'm pretty sure that's what I'm remembering. I mean,
Are you
whether it happened that way
serious?
or not,
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
was she a big woman that didn't want to get up a
Uh,
lot?
she was a big woman who couldn't get up a lot.
So she had a broom and she'd bang on the ceiling for
Yeah,
y'all to be
her
quiet.
moving was a task.
Holy shit. You are really shedding a lot of light
So
on
like,
this. Yeah, it sounds really pleasant, Leo.
I mean, and you're talking those dogs were her kids. People keep asking me about his parents. I'm like, I wouldn't really call them parents, to be honest with you. I was like, he had a mother figure, and I guess they're a dad who supported via cash, which is, I can't say anything bad about that. That 50 style parenting, stay at home mom, dad out making money. There's nothing wrong with that. There's some,
Yeah, yeah.
as
She
long
had
as
her
they're loving
saying,
parents.
yeah.
The problem is that this kid was 18 years old and still hadn't learned to use a microwave or anything yet.
Yeah. And I think it just says a lot about
I'm like,
who he became as an adult.
2 years after he learns how to use a washer and dryer, he's talking about gun safety. Like, I mean, that's a little weird to me.
Mm.
Um, oh, there are some shit. Okay, so I remember when he first got his he, the gun that he threatened me with was a Kimber 1911. I'll never forget it. Um, that gun is seared into my brain. I've had two guns put to me in my life, and I remember both of them. And that he when he had that gun really early into getting it, we were well, I don't no, I wasn't there. This was told to me through another friend, but I did see the hole in the wall, so I know it's true. Sorry, I was
It's okay.
oh, people was just getting messages. Um, and maybe I was there for this one. He did it twice, so I can't remember. Um, but either way, I know both of these happened. There was one time where this was right after he got the Kimber. He hands the gun to Brandon, and because Brandon's like, "Oh, let me see the gun," and he hands. Now I grew up around. My dad taught me gun safety at a super. I'm talking like as soon as I could walk, I probably knew gun safety. Like that was probably that. I'm very, 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 very strict on gun safety. So when someone just hands somebody a gun without like taking the magazine out, emptying the round, like checking down the chamber, like I just that's not okay. Like I don't even care if you just did it. Like if that's spontaneously, if you're choosing to hand it over, you do it again. Like do it twice. Who cares? But he just handed it to the buddy, and my buddy, and he was like, "Hey, can I dry fire it?" And he said, "Yeah," and he just dry fired it, put a round through the apartment wall, the townhouse wall. Like this kid was an idiot at times where it's just like, oh my God, one of us, what if it was that's the exact situation you read about happening with kids, where it's like found dad's gun, pointed it at friend, didn't know it was loaded, boom, gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
like that's super cliche and all, but it's like, what the
No,
hell? Like
it's not.
had my buddy not been pointing at the wall, which thinking about that, that's crazy that he even was pointing up. I was like, like it wasn't aimed at the ground or
Yeah,
anything.
he's a
Like,
moron.
yeah,
The guy's a moron.
and then he put another round through his wall too, at another point in time. And I don't think I was living with him at this time. I couldn't have been living with him because I don't remember seeing the bullet hole. But he told me. I'm pretty sure though. I mean, I don't know. Because there was times where I went off on my own. Like I lived in an apartment for a couple months at one point in time, or I moved in with my parents at one point in time. Not for very long periods, but there was one point in time where I guess he had a nightmare, and he always slept with his gun by his head. And he had a nightmare, I guess, while he was sleeping, and he woke up and like grabbed his gun in the nightmare and put it around through the wall. So after that, he kept his gun on the opposite side of the room.
Terrifying.
Yeah, the kid
Eh,
was. Some other kid was talking about him and him being really big into like concealed weapons and stuff like that. And he was. He liked all that like go to Washington D.C. and the guns that are in canes, these old mafia secret hit weapons and stuff like that. Suitcases with guns in them and stuff. He was always interested in weird shit like that. I always thought that was I love guns. Don't get me wrong, but that's an excessive level where I'm just like that's so weird to me. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I think this is beyond yelling at your kids, though. Everyone's yelled at their kids. He
Yeah,
said,
yeah, his mom was verbal abuse, but I'll be honest, I don't think his mom did anything sexual. I never got that vibe. But I will say he has a brother who never showed up, never talked, like wasn't
that's really curious. Yeah.
ex-military, and I don't know. Like me and my sister don't see each other very much, but we definitely like chat
Or
here and there, and I talk about my sister a lot. I love my sister, so
could
it's
that have
like
been a lie, though? Could he have been lying about a brother?
no, he definitely has a brother for sure. The other kid, I think actually one of the other guys actually met him when they were younger.
Oh, okay.
I know he
I
lives
didn't
in
know
North
that.
Carolina, and I have seen his brother, like, towards the end of our friendship, I think his brother had sent, like, a Christmas photo, and I think it had pictures of, like, his kids and
Hmm.
stuff, but, I mean, I want to say his name was Brett or something. I can't remember what his name was. But
That's so
I
bizarre.
never saw him the whole time I knew him. Never, no phone conversations. Like, I mean, I think there was times where he might have said he had talked with his brother, but I mean, I never, like I said, I find it weird that like your brother never once visited the parents in like 10 years.
And you lived there, like he never called the house.
Yeah, I mean, like on Thanksgiving and Christmas, like I was there during these holidays. Like I
That's what I was
never,
gonna say. Like holidays, there was
I
nothing.
couldn't even tell you what he sounded like. I couldn't tell you what he looked like. There was no pictures in the house of him. No, there was literally absolutely nothing of him.
That
Had
is so
Stefan never
weird.
told me he had a brother at random conversations, I would have never known.
I wonder if he's a half brother. If
He is.
like,
He's a stepbrother. Yeah, he's.
oh, so
So
was
I do have a habit of saying like brother. So I have a stepsister. My sister's my stepsister as well, but she was around since I was born. So as far as I'm concerned, she's my sister.
right, but
So
was
it's just
dad
kind of
married
just
before or
terminology.
mom? Do you know? Like, was it from his dad's side or mom's
I think
side?
it's mom's side.
Ah, see, there's
Yeah, and I was. I feel like he told me his brother didn't like his mom or something like that. I could be wrong. I don't know.
well, if she was that big
I
of a
don't know too much about his
bitch,
brother. I
you know what I
believe it.
mean?
That's what I always assumed.
Imagine her being your stepmother
I
or
could be
your
just
mother.
thinking that's what I thought. He might have
Maybe
told
he
me that,
chose to live with
but
his dad, you know what I mean? Who
but I mean,
knows?
that's the only reason I could ever imagine not talking to my family or like seeing my family. Like, I mean, how do you have kids and not bring them around your mom and dad?
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
I don't
It
know. That
sounds
just
like
seems
there's a
crazy to me.
very weird dynamic with his family.
I mean, hell, I bet you I could go to my dad right now and be like, "Dad, give me money and I'll have kids," and he'd be like, "Okay." Like my parents want kids. Like, what do you mean you don't bring your kids around? Are you kidding? My dad would
Yeah.
disown me. I'd be
They live
disowned.
for that shit, you know?
Yeah,
You should,
exactly.
yeah.
My mom, she's a neonatal ICU nurse. Like, she lives for babies. She loves
Someone
the babies.
someone had a question here, but they were Diana, but they were not living together, correct? How long have they been a couple? Well, what all we know, and this is something I saw in the court documents today,
At
was
least
that
over 3
he
years.
was living there at this time. I don't know if they just recently got back together, if they had broken up, I don't know. But on the court documents, it says that is where the family lived together. So they put them all three together as a family living in that home. And when they found the pictures on his phone or whatever from 2022, which is what he's being held on right now, are from her 11th birthday in 2022. On 2/22/22, she turned 11. What a fucking cool birthday, right? You're like half of 22 and it's 2/22/22. And he molested her on that day. It's in the court documents, right? So they also identified that he did it in that home when they went into the home the day she was found or missing or whatever day they went into their condo, and they recognized the same walls, the same furnishings as the videos and pictures on his phone from 2022. So maybe they broke up between then and, you know, some point in time, but he is stated as living there in the court documents. So I thought that was interesting that that kind of confirmed he was living there. So what else
From
doesn't make sense in that, one more thing that doesn't make sense is that she said her boyfriend picked her up at the house and then took her to school. So where did he come from? So there's still things that don't make sense. Go ahead. Sorry.
uh, so yeah, like from what I understand, they had broken up and then like a week or 2 or maybe 3 weeks before this all happened, he had gone back up there and he had told his friend down in Northport that he was actually staying in their guest bedroom.
Mhm. I wonder what made them break up. Maybe
And
not working.
he did mention that, he had said that he had missed Maddie a lot and stuff like that, and he thought that was really weird that, like he's like, "What do you mean you miss your ex-girlfriend's daughter?" Like, What?" And
Yeah.
he thought it was really weird that he came back up and stuff too, and I was like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't really run back to my exes like that, so especially after that
Interesting.
yeah, especially after, like, 3, 4 months, I'm like, "Man, I wouldn't even think of you at that point. You'd be out of my mind." It's a long time.
Yes, they searched the family home. They were there. with several forensic vans and stuff. But Juju, I don't know why he wants to hurt her on her birthday. I don't know. It's so weird because the first charge he has is for 2/22/22, and then the second one is in March of 2022.
I'm assuming he planned. I'm gonna be honest. I think
Planned
some of
it.
this, I think some of this was planned. I mean, like I'm still questioning that whole "I want to go live in the woods" wasn't him. Like I'm
Hmm.
questioning that
Me
whole message,
too.
to be honest
I
with you,
thought
'cause
the
it's
same
just
thing.
such an awkward message, to be honest with you. And I have no context towards like I want to see the rest of that conversation. Like I don't know. My friend said, "Hey, when I turn 13, I want to go live in the woods." I'd be like, "What? Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean live in the woods? Like where?"
That's not what
Like
13-year-old
there
girls
would be a
think.
conversation there. Like I mean, just for no other reason than my friend sent me a message, there would be a conversation there, and I'm just like, did how did this conversation go? I'm like, that's a weird conversation for a 13-year-old to be. And like, I got the impression that she sent it to multiple friends. And I'm just like,
I'm wondering when she got her phone, like, because her mom didn't really make sense too when she said
yeah, the whole
she didn't
leaving
have
the
the phone.
phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that he was a very sneaky kid. Like he had quick fingers. I'm wondering if she was actually like forgetting her phone on those occasions. Like, or
Mm-hmm.
was he like slipping it out of the backpack on their way out of the door, that kind of thing. I mean, like I said, we were shifty little kids back then.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I know
yeah.
what I would have been capable of as far as
He's a
pickpocketing.
manipulator. He's a trickster.
He liked magic tricks.
He knows how to get away with shit or try
Like
to get away with it. Hmm.
exactly. He was good with a deck of cards, that kind of stuff. So I
Deviant.
mean,
Deviant. That's a great word to describe it.
I wouldn't hold it. I'd believe it. He was he was definitely a different breed. I mean, it's just so crazy because I mean, I never would have saw any of this. I mean, I knew the kid was weird. Don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
this is just.
Dude, you could never have foreseen this. Never.
And
It's got to be mind blowing.
that's why I'm really glad the other people came out and talked because I was like, well, at least other people can understand how you can like just not see this. Like,
Hmm.
it's not like the dude's walking around with a sign on his forehead. He's trying
No.
to blend in, and when you're not one of these type of people, your brain isn't thinking that way. So you're not even thinking about that when you see things. Sometimes something hits you and you're like, that was weird. But that's as far as it goes in your head. It doesn't like
Hmm.
moves
Your
on to the
mind
next
doesn't
thing.
go there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so that's I'm still
Um.
just trying to get over the fact that this guy did all this. It's
No, I
absolutely
get it.
crazy.
I get it. LA wants to know, did you guys have a friend named Rick? I don't
Rick.
know why they're asking that. It's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, Rick.
Where are the court
Did I have a friend?
records?
Did I have a friend named Ricky? I feel like there
Mm.
was a friend named Ricky. I feel like there might have been, but like I said, he had some friends that were a little like I couldn't even
She
remember all
just
their
put his
names.
last name in chat.
My chat's so
Do you see
fucking.
it?
Hold on, my chat's so. Uh,
Armstrong? Rick Armstrong?
Rick Armstrong. Armstrong kind of sounds familiar, but not off the top of my
You don't
head.
know.
Not off the top of my head. No, it just
Oh,
sounds
I
familiar.
guess someone named Rick called into another channel.
That guy. I know who he is, and he definitely knows Stefan because he told me what kind of chips Stefan likes. When I was talking to
Chips?
Yeah, I was talking to him about
Oh,
the
God.
candy and
What kind of
how
chips does
you'd
he
have to
like?
make a pathway to get through the room because there'd be so much trash and how much of a slob he was. And
Takis?
fucking
What
knows as good as
chips?
I want. Wait, what?
What kind of
When he,
chips?
huh? Rick claimed it.
Rick claimed to have seen Stefan with younger girls as young as 9 when he was
Oh
18.
wait, Rick.
I don't know anything about Rick.
When he was 18, that would have been around me. Like this guy would know me. If he knew Stefan, he would know me. Not that name doesn't sound familiar to
Does
me
that
for some
sound
reason.
even legit? I
Um,
mean, you lived with
as young
him.
as 9? No. Like I never
Yeah.
like the only
Okay.
girl I ever saw was a really tiny Asian girl.
Sounds like
Everybody else was
bullshit.
actually like either people that had been at high school with me, high school at West Orange, while I was still in high school, and I mean we were the same age, so.
Yeah. Unlike other channels, I vet people. I saw pictures of you and Stephan, before you even came on. Rick
Yeah.
said he went to high school with Stephan. Stephan didn't even go to high school.
Yeah, I'm like, how did he go to high school with Stephan? I took his GED test.
Yeah, you don't bring people up like that.
I mean,
That's how rumors get
well,
started.
I don't. Hold on. He went to high school with Stephan. If he did, it would have been at West Orange for a very short period of time because he didn't know the West Orange area, and I always thought that was a little weird that he kind of knew some of like the school stuff back there.
Oh, so maybe it
Thinking
is.
about it now, because he used to like that was the path he would take when he was racing his car around his little crappy car.
Mm,
Yeah, and it was salt and vinegar chips. Yeah, I think I said that earlier.
salt. He
But
is a
yeah,
freaking salt and vinegar. He
but
looks like a.
yeah, the other kid just dropped that out of nowhere in the conversation. I was like, oh my god, you really did know. I mean, I already believed him after he said a couple things, but that was like icing on the cake because he's like he knew exactly what this kid ate and everything. And I was like, man, stories about saving semen in jars as like a kid.
What?
Oh, yeah, so, I mean, I feel bad, like, this
No.
isn't my story, this is that kid's story, but, he said when they were younger, this, Stephan used to so they raised horses in Georgia, okay, or they had, like, a horse farm in Georgia, and, this kid's mom and Stephan's mom did the horse thing together, and, like, breeding horses, like, show
Oh,
horses and stuff.
Lord.
And so they had jars of horse semen from when they did the breeding sessions and stuff like that. And from what I understand, is Stefan used to go in there because he had this epiphany apparently as a kid when he was like 9 that he would go in there. He'd say that if you were to put sperm in a female's drink, you could get them pregnant. They would never know who got them pregnant. That's literally how he described it. So, but he would go in there and he would like do his thing in these jars and go put them back,
The
I'm assuming.
fuck?
And they were like injecting these into the horses.
Oh my God. What a fucking weirdo. Blech.
Yeah, I can't tell you if Rick was a troll or not, but I can tell you that all that sounded kind of sketch. What I just heard. I mean, if Rick knew Stephanie, he knows me 100%. At least at that age, there's no way around that. Like, there's
Yeah,
no way
because
he
you
could have known
lived
Stephanie without
there.
me.
Right.
At
Right.
at 18, I might have not lived with him yet, but that kid was
You were with
attached
them
at
all
my
the
hip.
time.
Yeah, he's definitely. Well, I mean, if you lived in the area at that age, you would have known me. Like, it's just,
People come out of the woodwork, you know it.
yeah, it's just one of those things.
I can't with the horses. Ugh.
Oh yeah, and he used to do that with the horses, and like apparently he was like saving jars of it and stuff. I'm like,
Oh, that is so
I'm
gross.
like, I never knew that, and that is absolutely horrific and disgusting. But I also never went into his room either and like rifled through his shit, which makes me question now if he rifled through mine. I bet you he did. I know it didn't get through my computer because I'm like OCD with it, so
Mm.
I could tell if someone
S-
touches my mouse.
What's the story about someone cleaning up his desk and he got pissed? What happened
Like I
then?
said, he was such a slob. He wanted to kick that kid out of the house. He wanted to kick him out because he cleaned up his desk. I bet he thought he was doing a favor for him. I think I actually had this conversation on my Instagram, but because we were just talking about it like yesterday. Um, but yeah, he was cleaning my buddy's desk, and Stefan came home and went absolutely ape shit over the desk being cleaned. Just absolutely
Mm.
crazy. And now that I'm thinking back to it, like, I mean, it was one of those temper tantrum moments where he's flipping out, just cussing my friend out and everything like that, just going ham. And I was just kind of like, that's crazy.
Did he like throw things?
Oh, the poodles actually have they have sex with other poodles. I actually they do it like old school way. They have
They actually have him like
whatever you call the big boy dog. They have one, and
the
it's a
stud.
very, very yeah, the stud. It's a crazy, crazy championship bloodline. Like their dogs are actually. I could say whatever I want about that lady. What a piece of crap I think she is as a human being. I'm like, but when it came to those dogs, there was probably very few dogs on this planet who live better lives.
So she took better care of the dogs than she did her son.
Oh, not even a close comparison. The money that was spent on those dogs is absolutely insane.
That
That's
is
up.
so
That
weird.
they definitely the the dogs ate better than everyone. Are you kidding? Like, they had, like, fresh from the farm, like, multi-pound just kidneys and livers and everything from the farm packaged up weekly, delivered to the house for the poodles to
And
plop them
he's eating
down and just watch
Laffy
them go
Taffies.
ham. But I will say you couldn't be in the room when they ate because 'cause they'd tear you apart.
Those poodles they can be mean, those big
Oh,
ones.
yeah, they're a different breed. They're very nice, but don't
Ooh.
couldn't put your hand around their food, they take it off.
Yeah, I mean, they can yeah, they're
People
brutal.
forget people forget, I mean, as far as canines go, like, the size of canines, I'm pretty sure poodles have, like, the 2nd largest outside of the wolf. So,
They're big.
like,
Yeah.
they're
You don't
they're
see the big
definitely
ones too often,
they're a jack of
really.
all trades.
People are scarred. They're like, "Okay, we ruined, chips for them."
Yeah, I know, I saw the chip one, I was laughing. I was like yeah, so, I will say, I still don't like poodles. I have respect for poodles now, there's a difference. I had no respect for floofy little poof, God, little I hate those little haircuts, those little poofy haircuts.
Did she have
Um,
them all groomed, like,
y
shaved, like the
they not all the time, but they would get, like well, Dee Dee was pretty much always trimmed up and always poofed out,
and
but
hers go
Gus
they
and
go in
Linus were retired by that point in time,
they go in
so
the shows, right? They do the dog shows?
yeah, Gus was an agility dog. He was the professor. I loved that dog, and that dog loved me. He was
That's
cool.
so weird. Like, so his mom was too big to get up, but she had these dogs that would go and train and do shows.
Yeah, she had some disabilities too. I don't know. Like, I mean, like I mean, I'm sure she was on the disabled. Like, she had a handicap sticker and all that. So
Yeah, would she go to the dog shows?
not always.
Really?
Sometimes. Sometimes. I think she tried most of the time, but not always.
Interesting. God,
Yeah, they
so
were stupid
wild.
smart dogs. You could talk to them like they were people, and I swear to God, those dogs understood what I was saying.
Those dogs kind of look at you like they can like looking right through you.
Yeah, it was weird. Those dogs were. I didn't realize dogs could get that smart. To be honest with
I
you,
think
like
that's
those
kind of why
dogs
they
are
freak
crazy.
people out. They are kind of freaky.
And like Dee Dee was like Gus was agility trained, so he was hard to control. But Dee Dee, that was a prime specimen of a dog. Like that, she stood tall, big teeth. When she barred those teeth, you were scared. And I was like, oh, I wasn't scared of poodles before that dog. That dog scared the hell out of me one time.
Wow. This
And
has
then
been
Linus was just chill.
Linus.
Yeah, he was just super chill. He was
I wonder if she'll sell the
you
poodles for his defense.
you know pig pin. Like, the color
Pigpen.
of, Snoopy, the color of, like, the little ball of dust around him,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
blanket color and stuff like that. That was the color of Linus. I bet you she named it after Snoopy. I feel like she did.
My brother had a male and female Dalmatian. They were scary. Those are big dogs too. Cool dogs.
Yeah, they are big dogs. I mean, I have a
Well,
golden doodle now, so
you have a
I love
golden doodle?
yeah,
Aw.
a little mini. She's super cute.
I have a golden husky. Yes.
That's amazing.
She
Husky's like one of my
looks
favorite dogs in the
she
world.
looks more like a golden though. She does, but she
Uh,
acts like a husky. She's
nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
she's
wild attitude to deal with.
yes, she gets those crazy eyes
Is she
like
vocal?
very, very
Yeah.
vocal.
Yeah, yeah. My uncle has huskies, and they like to speak.
Yes, she's the most vocal dog that we've ever heard. Yeah.
Yeah, howlers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she talks to us all the time. Roo roo, yeah. We call her her name's Summer. We call her Summeroo, and we'll say, "What's your name?" And she says, "Roo." Rah, rah, rah,
Yeah, I love animals.
rah.
Which is kind of weird because my dad raised rabbits, and that's not exactly like
Rabbits?
yeah. When he was young, my dad's old school, like the long military family,
Rabbit?
like old school, boots on the ground, do things with your hand, manual labor kind of dude. He was a
Yeah.
state swimmer, rugby player growing up. Party super part rugby party guy joins the military. So,
Right. And then when you started fucking up, he was like, this ain't happening.
exactly, and yeah, he did the same thing, like the same kind of thing that I went through in my life. Where I was
Mhm.
like, oh shit, I'm getting into a little too much trouble.
But you know what?
It,
Your foundation brought you back.
Exactly. I was lucky to have my dad who kind of went through the same thing. Now, mind you, we weren't talking at this point in time, but I had known of my dad's past and things like that. So I knew there was a point in his life where he wasn't going the direction he wanted to go. And he was like, screw it. And then he did it later, 30 years old, which is pretty late for a lot of people to like change your entire life course, you
Yeah, for
know?
sure, for
And then he
sure.
went off and did great things. So, I mean, like, that's crazy to me. I have a massive respect for
Did
my
you have
family.
rabbits when you were in Japan? I'm just curious.
No, I didn't raise rabbits.
I was just
Rabbits do exactly what people say they do. They breed like rabbits, which means you have to kill a lot of rabbits, and I wouldn't be good at killing animals.
No.
So yeah, people don't understand that people who raise rabbits kill a lot of rabbits.
All right, Chase. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. We have been going a long time, and I really, really appreciate it. And I want to ask you if you'll come back, when this goes to trial and have another conversation about, just kind of where things are and where what you're thinking at that time, if you would.
Yeah, these conversations get to jog my memory a little bit. Like to be
Hmm.
honest with you, there's certain things that you said during this where I was just like, oh my god, I totally forgot about that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
you're probably going to have a lot
You
of those
know?
moments.
Oh, this is gonna go on for a while, where me and my
Yeah.
friends are just constantly, like, every week, once or twice, we'll be like, "Oh, yeah."
Yep.
So,
Yep. You're going to have some stories. So I would love to have you back on to have another conversation. It's been great.
yeah, just shoot me a message sometime.
All right, sounds great. Thank you, Chase.
Not a problem, have a good one.
You too. Have a good night.
You too.
I'm not sure if I don't think he said he was going to go to the trial, guys. Um, it was amazing. Talking to him was great. Look at how big I am on the screen. Woo! You guys have been awesome. You had great questions. Thank you for being so respectful. And, tomorrow we're going to go through these court documents. I haven't had time to save them all on my computer, get them all ready. But tomorrow, day 2, is going into jury selection for James Crumbly. So we're not quite ready for that yet. And so we'll be going through all of these new documents that were made available today in the Osceola County court records. Whew, that was a great live. I mean, really, he is a great guy, nice guy, legit. He literally knew Stephan. He's not backing Stephan. He hasn't spoken to him in a decade, but just getting some insight into this monster's life is just crazy. So thank you so much, Leo. Thank you, Shell. Thank you, all the moderators that were here. Thank you for your super chats and all of your support. Unfortunately, I don't have the credits. So we're going to dance it out. I got to go eat dinner. But if you are not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. And I will see you guys in the next video tomorrow. I think I'm frozen. Hold on. Why would I be frozen? Can you guys still hear me? I see a lot of new names tonight. That's exciting stuff. Yeah, it's kind of lagging. Let me turn off my video. Oh, I can't even do that. I'm totally froze. You guys are stuck with me. That's messed up. See if I can open up. See if we can get the hell out of here. Here we go. Here's our exit. I'll see you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. down for that.